till he and I broke up. Financially took care of this man for that entire time.
Holy shit.
And I loved him so much that I took on 4 jobs just to support him.
You're fucking
while
crazy.
He was at home playing video games.
You're fucking nuts.
Like, when I say I love hard, I fucking love hard. And so many people give me a bad rap. They're like, oh, you broke up with him because you got popular on the podcast, this and that. Bitch, I was a sugar mom. What are you talking about?
That's crazy.
But yeah, like, working long hours and working hard doesn't scare me. What scared me?
In 5, fucking 4, 3, 2, 1. Sorry, everybody. We're re-recording this podcast real quick because this thing glitched and we didn't get that whole story. But we have Kat Lee in the house.
Hey, what's up?
From The Fighter and the Kids.
Hey,
I fucking hate when I do this. So in the last 2 podcasts, I fucking forgot to hit record. And then I recorded 2 episodes with no audio.
Like 2 full episodes.
2 full ass episodes. And I didn't fucking hit the record button.
Wait, so what did you do? You just re-recorded them?
No, I trashed it.
Oh, okay.
Because you can't catch lightning back into a bottle.
You can't.
And those 2 episodes were so fucking funny. I was pissed as hell. Because I just don't like redoing things.
Yeah.
But thank God I caught that shit fucking early.
Yeah.
Your boy's smart as fuck, man. Well, we were just getting into a conversation real quick about Kat Lee's upbringing. And we found out, number one, just to kind of break it down again, because we're re-recording this.
Yes.
You grew up in San Jose.
Yeah. I'm
and
from
you
San
had
Jose.
tiger parents.
Strict ass tiger parents.
Which is so interesting too, because I feel like you're Vietnamese, right?
Yeah.
A lot of my Vietnamese homegirls, they didn't really have much tiger parents.
Yeah.
Like,
usually they don't. Mine were different.
What? So your parents wouldn't let you hang out with anybody?
I was not allowed to have friends, like acquaintances and classmates were as far as I could like have a label on other people outside of family.
Okay.
And I used to get my ass beat if my mom thought I was on like fucking MySpace, Tumblr, Zanga, ass beat.
Wait, do you have siblings?
Yeah, I have one younger sister. She's 2 years younger, and a baby brother. He's not really a baby. He's like 10, 11, but he's my baby. So
does he also have those restrictions as well, or is it
not really?
Just
it's definitely loosened up. I mean, I'm like the first daughter in an ethnic family, so I'm basically a mother.
That's crazy, dude. Because I can't imagine. My parents were pretty strict too, right? But obviously, I feel like in Asian families, the boys are allowed to do more than the girls because the girls are like the damsel in distress. They're always worried about somebody hurting you or something else.
Yeah.
But you're the oldest. You're the oldest in your family, so usually it's like the younger sister has the older brother that'll take care.
Yeah.
But now it's the other opposite way.
Yeah.
So for you, like, you never got to go out much, and then you went from this to fucking doing OnlyFans.
Bro, here's the thing. I joke about this shit so much with my friends, but I'm like, straight up, I am here because I used to get my ass beat, but I also was raised with so much love that I'm good at making this into a business. Like, I'm making money off of it. Like, I'm not, like, I guess, like, I'm fucked up enough to want to do OnlyFans, but I'm not fucked up enough to, like, I'm making a bag. I'm doing it smart. I'm doing it the smart way.
So, I literally just watched a doc on OnlyFans recently, right?
The Hulu one?
Yes.
Yes.
I just recently watched that shit, and that shit was blowing my fucking mind, right?
It's interesting watching it.
So when you...
As someone who does it.
Do your parents know that you do an OnlyFans?
Yeah, my dad told me to do it.
Your dad is the fucking biggest motherfucker I've ever...
Okay, here's the thing.
My daughter can go out, have no friend, no sex. OnlyFans make money? Okay. You just go, I don't give a fuck no more, man.
Here's the thing that, like, I explained it to... So my mom and most of the women on my family on my mom's side, they were all coffee shop girls. So, like, I was a part of kind of that life of, like, hot girls dressing in skimpy outfits to make money. Because, like, that's just what you do. And for those of you who don't know what, like, a Vietnamese coffee shop is, it's a Starbucks, Hooters, and strip club wrapped into one. And it's just, like, with a bunch of Vietnamese bitches. Yep. So I grew up around that, and I saw growing up that there were 2 types of women who would work these type of jobs. One, it's the women who came in to get a check and then leave. And then there's women who's there to get a check so they can invest in their future. Yeah. So a lot of girls who were in there were usually, the younger women were students. Students who needed money to kind of pay their way through tuition, books. And then there were women who were there because they had families.
That classic hood story. I'm stripping for my future.
For your future. Stripping with a heart of gold. And then there were people who came to this country without really any sort of skills, don't really speak the language, but they found this Vietnamese coffee shop. They're like, okay, this is going to help me support my family, send some of it back to Vietnam. And then there were girls who, like, straight up went there to get, like, a drug dealer boyfriend. who gangbang, who will like buy him a Beamer and some Christian Louboutins.
Yeah.
And I just saw that at the end of the day, you hit a certain point where your physical appearance will only get you so far. And so you need to get in, cash out, and like get the fuck out. But you need to use that time and that money wisely, because it's not going to last forever. And there are certain girls who used to come into coffee shops thinking like, holy shit, I made $7,000 in a month, or I made 14 grand in a month, and I'm going to spend it on a weekend in Vegas. I'm going to buy all these bags. I'm going to go on vacation. And then there are other women who were like, I'm going to go and get my degree, or I'm going to get my real estate license, and I'm going to parlay that into something else. And so for me, I knew I needed to get in, get a bag, and get out.
Where did you even come up with the idea of doing an OnlyFans?
It was an inside joke, because everyone on Fighter and the Kid is perverted as fuck.
Oh, really?
On some real shit. First and foremost, I'd like to say I love you guys. Love you. Don't come for me. But the moment I came onto the podcast, the first few months, I was privated on everything. I was very, very cautious to be like, I don't want to be known. I'm here as a intern. I'm trying to do like production work, because at USC, although I majored in theater, there's a big chunk of my work that I did with production. So I would be a part of like putting on school plays, but not as an actor. I would like be in the wood shop, like helping make sets. I would be helping the people who are like setting up lights and stuff like that, just trying to learn every part of production in theater.
Yeah.
And I really liked being behind the scenes. So when I came on to Fighter and the Kid, I was like, okay, I'm just going to be like another intern who doesn't really say anything, maybe once in a while. And from there, when people heard my voice, like, I have a deep ass voice for a girl. I got a deep ass voice, and I know this. So when they heard that I was a girl with this deep voice, and I used to talk about how I was powerlifting while I was in college, people thought I was like this really hefty butch lesbian.
Yeah.
And so the moment like they turned a camera onto me and people saw what I looked like, they're like, oh wait, this isn't a butch lesbian. This is like a tiny Asian girl, and she's kind of cute. And from there, people started very quickly sexualizing me really early on. And I was very cautious of trying to be as conservative as possible. I took down a bunch of posts from my Instagram page before I went unprivate, just because I didn't want that type of attention. I wasn't quite ready for it. And when that happened, a bunch of people started asking me like, yo, can I see your feet? And at first I was like, this is weird.
Hold on a second. The fuck are you talking about right now? They went from, they want us to see your feet?
Yeah, because here, you ask any girl on social media, there's always requests to see their feet. Always. People want to see your feet. And for some reason on my page, there just weren't any photos of me at the beach in sandals or anything. So they didn't know what my feet looked like. I brought it up once on the show, like, oh, what's the weirdest DM you've ever gotten? I'm sure these savages have sent you some real winners. And I was like, well, there's the standard like dick pics, but the weirdest one to me is they want to see my feet. And that became a joke, an inside joke where
that's very real though.
Yeah, that's very real. And I hid my feet for 2 years. Like
this girl was building her business from day one. She said, I ain't nobody gonna see these things ever. That's why she's tucking them away right now. You gotta pay for that shit, bitch.
Subscription's only $10.
That's fucking fun.
But that's how it happened.
What the
It's just
fuck?
like it started off as a joke, and even people who weren't into feet just started building on this almost.
Wait, are you only showing your feet on your OnlyFans? Like what else?
No, it's like a regular OnlyFans. I don't do nudes, but it's like any import model that you used to see back in the day who used to wear like lingerie or like wet t-shirt stuff. Like that's what I do. I also take photos of my feet.
Get the fuck out of here.
It started off as a feet page, as a joke.
I fucking respect you and I hate you so fucking much, dude.
I get that a lot.
The power, the people don't, here's the funny thing too, because when I was watching that Hulu documentary about OnlyFans, right? And there was a dude on there, like he's a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
Or he was.
And they try to make him out as gay in the beginning, and then it comes out that he's straight up.
He's straight, but gay dudes jack off to him, right? But the weird thing is like
good for him.
How much men lust after women is it's such a smart thing to just make money off of.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me, right? Because just from people wanting to see something from you that they're not privy to makes them want to give you money.
Yes.
Right? Because if a guy came out and was like, listen, I'm going to open this OnlyFans, you're going to see my foreskin. I know nobody's paying to see my foreskin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're like, hey, we're good, bro. You know, it doesn't matter if women find you attractive or whatever. They're probably okay with it. But the fact that sex sells for women so much better. And on top of that, you're not fucking like dildoing yourself or anything. It's just, hey, you're going to get a little silhouette, a little wet t-shirt thing, and that's all you have to do. Blows my fucking mind.
And
dude.
some people are either amazed or they're so angry that I've been able to make the amount of money that I have without getting nude.
They're
so angry.
But
or they're
I feel like,
yes.
I feel like that's even smarter though, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you want 100% nude, people are going to wait for that time where she's going to eventually go nude and I'm just biding my time right now.
Yeah.
And that's what they're fucking waiting for.
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
And you know
dude.
what's crazy about that too? On OnlyFans, I've made it a point to DM everyone back. So when you DM me, you're having a conversation with me. Like, I will send you a selfie as proof, like, yo, this is me at fucking Olive Garden right now with my baby brother.
Yeah.
Like, you're talking to me. I'm not a girl who, like, has an assistant who's answering on my behalf. Like, this is me. You're talking to me. While you wait to see if I have nudes, now we're in a conversation about key lime pie for 3 months, and now we're homies.
That's fucking crazy.
Now you just want to support me.
That's really smart, though. I mean, well, people actually do get to know you, right? Which is something a lot of people don't really do. It's just... So like I remember, so once I saw the OnlyFans thing, I signed up for OnlyFans, not for myself, right?
Okay.
But
you don't have to explain yourself to
There's
me.
like, because I'm not trying to like show my shit. But I went to OnlyFans and then there's free OnlyFans.
Yeah.
So you click on the OnlyFans, you do it. And then there's like this automatic response from somebody.
Yeah,
right?
it's like a welcome message.
It's a basic welcome message. And so like I wrote back, I was like, is this really you? ? And then it's like this very just pre-written type of thing. And I'm like, oh, is this how people, they get somebody, they kind of develop this personal relationship, but you're actually responding.
Yeah, I think at first it's easy for you because at the beginning of me doing OnlyFans, I got so many messages that it was kind of hard to customize everything. So I would copy and paste like, hey, thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate the support for the first message. And then once they veer off into like an actual conversation, then that's when it got more personal. But I'm actually talking to people.
That's fucking nuts. That must be pretty tiring though, right? It's kind of exhausting.
Yeah, it definitely at the beginning, I used to answer like 200 messages every single day by myself. So I'd sit on my couch for like 2 to 3 hours and respond to everyone's DMs, go to sleep. And that's what I would do day in and day out because I wanted to build a good foundation.
Yeah.
Like I know like this is OnlyFans and it's funny because it's my feet or whatever. But at the end of the day, I never want to make somebody feel like I'm trying to scam them out of money. Because I heard so many horror stories before getting onto OnlyFans of these girls like the Bella Thorne thing where she got on and she said that she was going to do nudes and then she didn't. And it like fucked up the whole system for a bunch of girls. And now there's a cap of how much you can tip and how much you can give somebody. And I was very cautious of ever trying to overpromise things or say things that ultimately were gonna I wasn't gonna deliver on. I didn't want to say like, ooh, you want to see me topless, and then it's like it's a photo of me covered up, but then like I'm not wearing a bra underneath. It's just one of those things.
Because you went to USC for theater, were you trying to be an actress?
Originally, I was and I wasn't. I auditioned for USC, the theater program, only because I knew that was the only school I probably could have gone into. Because even though I had good grades, I didn't take the SATs, I didn't take the ACTs. Like I did the bare minimum to try to get into a college. And in my head, I thought I needed a way to get out of San Jose. If I don't leave now, I'm never gonna leave. I'm gonna stay here for the rest of my life. And I'm going to hate it. So,
well, that's what happens to people in San Jose, Sacramento. Like you kind of fall in love with the city. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of talent. It's not a bad thing.
It's not a bad thing at all.
You know, I think for your case, because you live such a sheltered life, that's like the weird thing that I feel some parents kind of fuck up on, right? You try to protect your child so much, they begin to resent you sometimes a little bit, and they want to get away from you as far as possible. So it happens to a lot of these little church girls who grew up like hyper Catholic, hyper Christian, and the moment they experience some shit that's a little devil in them, they fucking love that shit. They go off, they start fucking sucking dick and everything. You know, so for in your case too, do you feel like because of that pressure from your parents and not being able to do that, it probably pushed you a little further away to do stuff that wasn't something that was in their plans. Yeah,
absolutely. I only auditioned for theater because it was the only thing that I thought I could possibly get in on. I didn't really have too much acting experience before that. Like I used to do like little dance performances in high school, but I really didn't have a theater background. And so I came in, I did a monologue, and I got into a bunch of schools. I was like, oh shit, this is dope. I chose USC. And while I was there, I used to get so bored and I was so lonely. I had such a hard time making friends because everyone in the theater program either already kind of had their own group of friends or they felt so far removed from what I could relate to because they were a lot of really rich kids whose families had money to send them to like these art schools, which is fine. It's just I didn't really mesh well with them.
I think college in general is like that for a lot of people, right? Like
absolutely.
Growing up in Sacramento and stuff. When I went to UCR, a lot of like, hello, my brain farts. This podcast is brought to you by Skillshare. Listen, let me cut to the chase. You're like me. You have hobbies, you have goals, and a bunch of things you want to learn and try, but you don't even know where to get the right information or where to start. Well, you can search online for hours on that bullshit, but I'm telling you, you don't have to. Get Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community that offers membership with meaning. And guess what? I'm using it too. There's a bunch of things to explore, real projects to create, and the support of fellow creatives like us because Skillshare is about real growth and it has such an amazing creative community. The course I'm checking out right now is YouTube Success Script Shoot and Edit by Marcus Brownlee, one of my favorite creators of all time. And though I've been doing it for a long time, I can always learn from people who are doing it better than me. And like I said, Skillshare is a community of amazing creatives. So remember, explore your creativity at Skillshare.com/brain and get a free trial of premium membership at Skillshare.com/brain. Kids went to UCR because they either got a full ride because they couldn't get that from the colleges they wanted.
Yeah.
So like I grew up really poor and I went to college and there was people with money and I couldn't relate to a lot of these people.
Yeah.
How they spent money, how they functioned, the things that they said, the way that they moved was just different. Like even on some regular shit, they go, yeah, we're gonna go to fucking the UK for vacation. I'm like, what the fuck is vacation? You know, I don't get no vacation.
The UK, you have a passport?
Like when summer hit, I worked at my fucking parents' store and that's what I did. Yeah. So like I could see that too. And theater kids, by the way, they're fucking weird.
Yeah, that's another thing. Theater kids are weird. Like it's just they're a different breed of people. And I have this crazy story.
Tell me.
I hope this guy doesn't listen to it because he's a good friend of mine. He means well, but he's just one of those super.
Hey man, theater kids are weird, dude.
He's weird. He's one of those like super like, and when I say rich, like rich, like old money. His dad owns a part of the Warriors.
Oh shit!
Like money.
That's tight. Okay.
But he is the nicest kid. Just didn't do the right thing in this particular moment. We're doing a play called The Octoroon, and it's a modern day take on the old slave play in Octoroon. So it's like written from a black man's perspective of this old racist play. And he makes it so there is a black guy who's in whiteface, a Asian guy or Indian guy in red face, and then a other person in blackface.
Okay.
To try to like play like a twist on how people see other ethnicities.
Yeah.
In this play. And this guy, he got the role where he was supposed to play a Native American. And he had the role to wear the red face. And for this particular production, we were all very sensitive about, okay, we got to do this right because at the end of the day, we're doing something very, very, very offensive.
Oh,
like
for
there's
sure.
somebody with blackface, someone with whiteface, somebody with red face. And so we got to do this right. This guy was just so, what's that type of actor that like tries to become the thing that they
he's
are
very
playing?
like
Method. There we go.
Method.
Very method. One day he shows up to a class, and thank God it was a theater class, in character, and he came with red face on. He pretends like he speaks, like he doesn't understand modern English. In the middle of a lecture, goes up to the projector, starts touching it like he doesn't know what technology is. Wanders fucking out into the hall for the rest of the duration of the class, and everyone's just looking around like,
what is he doing?
And then he came back like without the red face and just like as if nothing happened.
He's like, I'm gonna get an A+ for this.
He really thought like he was killing it, and he's
fucking funny,
such a nice guy, and he means well. But it's
and he started
just one of those
scalping
things
people
like
in the middle of class. What the fuck is this guy doing?
And I was the only other person in that production in that particular class. So they all looked at me. I'm like, I don't know what he's doing.
Dude, man,
I'm so sorry.
There's just a lot of weird.
Theater kids are weird.
World. Theater kids are weird, dude. People in Hollywood are really weird, dude. I'm not sure if I told this story on the podcast, but either way. When I first came to Los Angeles, right, I was being introduced to people in the acting world. Yeah. I never wanted to be an actor. I don't even know if I particularly thought doing stand-up was entertainment per se. I just did stand-up because it made me happy. That's all that it was. And I wanted to be a big stand-up comic because making people laugh was something that I fed off of. I enjoyed it a lot. So when I came to Los Angeles, I don't know what this city is. I don't know what it breeds. I don't know this
city is different.
It's different, right? So,
if you're not from here and you come here, it's a rude awakening.
Dude, I was not ready for this shit. So when I first came to Los Angeles, I had a meeting with this dude that was a producer of a very popular film, right? Yeah. And it was a horror film. I was like, okay, cool. I'll meet this. I don't know what this is about.
It's Jordan Peele.
No, absolutely not. I love Jordan Peele, but this dude is a fucking weirdo. He lives next to the mansion where the Manson murders happened, right?
He's one of those guys.
Yeah, and so he moved there specifically because it's next to the Manson murders, and so people believe where that happened is a portal to a gateway to like the netherworld. They truly believe that stuff. I don't know what the fuck this white people shit is, right? I'm going in, right? So we get to this house and he's like, my manager's telling me that it's going to be a good thing for me to meet this person. I'm like, cool, whatever. We got in there because he's friends with this life insurance dude and he does life insurance for this guy.
Okay.
I walk in, this guy comes in and he tells me to stop. He goes, wait for a second. Before you walk into this house, if you feel a chill go down your body, that's just the Native American spirit that's wandering around this house. And I'm looking at him. I'm like, what the fuck did you just say to me? What is your name? Like, he didn't even introduce his name. He just told me about the dead Native American spirit
that sounds
that's wandering around this house. And then as I walk in, he starts showing me these pictures. He goes, see that? This like a Polaroid picture of a chair that was shattered. He goes, the Native American ghost lifted this chair and smashed it against that wall. And I have a picture of it. He shows me this Polaroid. I'm like, where the fuck am I? This guy is fucking weird. And as we're having a conversation, he has another lady come in, which I thought was his wife. It wasn't. It was like his friend, and she's a Reiki, so she talks to spirits. Okay. I'm like, this is the most fucking LA thing I've ever been to in my life. And he invited us, and I thought it was dinner and shit. It wasn't dinners. It was like a plate of crackers and cheese. I'm like, fuck this thing.
Oh, like a charcuterie board?
Yeah, fucking whatever that shit is. And I'm sitting there. And then I have to have a conversation with this other guy. It's this white dude, blonde hair, blue eyes, fucking sweater around his neck. And he's over here talking about where he's traveled, what he's doing. And I'm not a very nice person at this point. I have a very short temper. So I'm looking at this dude and this guy's talking about where he's been. And my manager can tell I'm getting really irritated. Yeah. Because he's just like trying to stunt. And so I'm like, kind of goading this dude on. I'm like, oh, where else have you been? He goes, I've been to Africa. I've been over here. I was like, Germany. I was like, you been to Germany? He goes, yeah. I was like, what's that? He goes, it's a country. I was like, a country? He goes,
you're
yes.
I
was like, he was like, yeah. It's like not here. It's like, have you traveled? I was like, traveled? What's that? You can tell this guy's getting fucking pissed. And he goes, anyways, I went to Oktoberfest out. And I was like, Oktoberfest? I was like, where's that? He goes, in Germany. I'm like, huh? I just feel my manager kicking me in the fucking leg. Like, stop making fun of him. But this guy's being a little fucking dick. Yeah. We go downstairs, and I kid you fucking not. He opens up this door. He goes, David, I want you to walk into the earth room. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? Walk into the earth room. There are spirits inside there. And when you walk in, you're going to be overwhelmed. We open this door, and it's like in the Hollywood Hills. So you see this door that opens up, and it's just a mound of dirt. So it's a part of the foundation to the house. It's dirt. I walk in. It's just a cold ass room. And I walk out. He goes, did you feel that? No. He goes, let me go inside. He goes into the earth room and he goes, the spirits are talking to me. And he starts freaking the fuck out. I'm mortified right now. What the fuck is going on? And so we're trying to wrap this shit up. Yeah. I go outside. The Reiki comes up to me and she goes, it was nice meeting you, David. She hugs me 5 minutes straight. Doesn't let me go. And I'm sitting here staring at my manager, pissed beyond belief. because she's hugging me and she's like doing this chant, rubbing my fucking back. I'm like, is this bitch trying to have a fucking threesome? Get the fuck off me.
I think that's assault, David.
I think it was. You're sexually harassing me, dude.
I think you were sexually harassed.
I think so too. This is my first experience in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what was going on. This city breeds very weird people and he has money. And I think a lot of people wanted to be his friend because he has money.
Yeah.
So like for me, I don't really function like that. So I was just like, yo, get the fuck off me. Get me the fuck out of here. And from that point on, I said, when it comes to meetings, you take the meetings. I don't want to be there.
Yeah.
You fucking figure it out. Because I'm going to sit there and make fun of somebody else and I'm going to freak out when this happens, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how your experience is in like the podcast, like comedy world, because that's a whole world that other people don't even know about.
Yeah, it's a crazy world. I think the first real bit of like crazy LA stories I got was a few weeks after I had got the job at Fighter and the Kid. I got a second job at a apartment building. I just graduated from college, so I was like, I need to make money and be able to pay LA rent. So I picked up a second job, and while I was there, it's the type of place where a 1-bedroom goes for at least $6,000-$7,000. And like this, like 1 bedroom isn't a very big 1-bedroom either. You get like maybe 600 square feet for like $6-7 grand. And it's in West Hollywood, super bougie. It's pretty, but not that pretty. You get a house car driver in a Rolls Royce or a Maybach who will drive you around town. Like, it's that type of place. Like LA, Hollywood, bougie ass people. This building has nothing but fucking crackheads in it.
Really?
Not actual crackheads, but like, actually, you know what? Yeah, some crackheads. Yeah. But it was a bunch of rich people with this LA mentality of like, they have this very specific idea of what they should be doing, who they should, like what they should look like, what they should act like. And there was this guy who used to, for like the life of me, I couldn't understand, very high power lawyer in Hollywood, go and he would remodel his unit, his 2-bedroom unit that he did not own, but he lived in for 2 years. He just wanted to keep busy so much, and he loved interior design. He hated his law job, but it financed his ability to interior decorate this apartment that he does not own. And he put marble walls everywhere.
What the fuck?
He redid the entire structure of his 2-bedroom apartment, so everything is marble. And he would change the type of marble it was every 3-4 months. And he'd always have construction workers coming in and out of the building that he does not own. So he could have this like beautiful, like eccentric, beautiful apartment. He didn't want a house. He would be up all hours of the day, like 3 a.m. Security guards who stayed there overnight would see him come in and out, like smoking, bringing people in his unit and then out of his unit. Fuck? Like, we think it was just like a bunch of his like weird friends coming in. His assistant used to bother us like crazy because I was working the front desk, and he'd come in with these stupid demands like, oh, we need a carpenter today. And I was like, oh, okay, let me call and see. He's like, no, in 20 minutes. And for those 20 minutes, he'll go upstairs and call me every 2 minutes to see where I'm at with this task. And he would come downstairs, and he would then, when you left, he would ask your coworkers for your phone number to see where you went on that topic. And so like I had people calling me outside of work like, who the fuck is this? How did you get my number? Yeah. Like, what the hell is going on? And people walking in and out of the unit like, oh, I'm here for a fitting, and they have nothing but like nipple tassels on.
What
and like fuck? Big time Hollywood producers coming in and out drunk, just like crashing their car at 3 a.m. every single week. And we're like, well, we have to give him his car keys because
dude, when people have money, they do some of the weirdest things, man. Like it's almost like, and I find this out a lot with people who kind of grew up with money. Because their idea of what a good time is starts very small. And I had a conversation with on this podcast recently about people who kind of grow up with nothing. They feel this experience of coming up, right? Some of our favorite experiences that we have, especially for me anyways, because I grew up very poor, is these small little victories, right? Well, these victories for people who are already rich, it's kind of already a given. So their level of experience,
the threshold is so high for that already.
It's so fucking high. So that's why there's drugs. There's people who are doing crazy shit. I mean, whenever you ever seen, like, it's very rare that you see a Disney kid that turned out really well.
Well,
because they're given the fucking world. Even somebody like Justin Bieber, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure when you see he's a YouTuber. People forget that.
Yeah, he was on YouTube and Usher found him off that.
Yeah, it was like Brian McKnight, Usher. They found this kid and he was a gem. He was a YouTuber. He is the classic example of a YouTuber making something bigger. Well, he was given everything. He has yes men around him everywhere, and he goes up, and then you see him go through his drug issues, his personal issues being put out there. Dude, I know somebody who used to work for an agency that had to get him to sign off certain things so he could travel internationally. This fool would have my friend sit there, and because he was like on his Christ tip, right? Like Justin Bieber's Christ tip. He would have people come in, and she would just needed a signature from him, and she wouldn't do. Basically, he's like, he's trying to hit on her or whatever, right? And she would have to sit there for hours because he doesn't want to sign it. So she would sit there for 6-7 hours waiting for him to sign something. And then he would bring some random girl in, bring her upstairs. And she told me that this fool would be upstairs chanting Bible verses to this girl before they fuck. Like, she said that
no,
he's asking her, have you accepted
this isn't
God?
real.
Have you accepted God as your Lord and Savior? Right. And she would say yes or something. And then they would fuck.
Will you accept this dick in your
Yeah,
mouth?
exactly. I'm like, yo, people are fucking weird, dude.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, everybody has these weird stories of these like celebrities, and they have to be real.
Yeah, LA just breeds different type of like weird rich people.
Yeah, for
it's
sure.
It's really, really odd. I don't think I've ever met someone from LA who's kind of in the, I guess, like LA Hollywood scene that's like of sound like mind.
Yeah, and
everyone's kind of wonky in one way or another.
Yeah, people get caught up in some shit too because the standard of what normal is based on the group that you're around, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Like I see a lot of these dudes where I ask them who your closest friends is, people that they met within the first 2-3 years. Yeah. Like I still have the same best friends since high school. I still have the same friends in Sacramento, and I have really close friends here. My circle is actually very tight and very small. But a lot of people that I meet here, they don't have that tight circle, which is understandable too. Like sometimes, like I don't know where you came from. It probably wasn't that great. So I get it. But for me too, like one of the things that I find weary about somebody is when they can't find a strong stable of human beings around them.
Yeah.
Because typically what happens is that if you have to be somebody who hops from group to group, usually you're probably the issue compared to everybody else. Typically, not saying that obviously we've had people who grew up in bad areas where you don't want to be friends with them anymore. But now I'm a little bit cautious about people who can't find a stable group of people because they're so used to going in and out. There's a loyalty issue too in this city. Like there's no loyalty.
Like once you're done, it's a lot of times you hang out with someone up until they can't do anything for you anymore. And then you flip.
Oh, 100%. And that makes me sad too.
It's very transactional.
I've had that happen like once in the city and it doesn't happen again. Cause like I told the story too, where this guy, he's a habitual fucking ladder climber, right? Yeah. He gets what he wants. He goes on to somebody else. But that shit runs out too, because after a while people pick up on that shit. And also too, when you have no skill set for yourself and your skill set is just mooching off of somebody else, that shit runs out. Yeah. It always runs out. For people who want to be in entertainment, that never fucking works in the long run because people get tired of that shit. They're going to move on from you. You have nothing to offer and they'll use you just like you try to use them. Yeah. And it's something that's very repetitive in this city. And I've been very careful about who I select around me. And even now, like everything is always going to be based on fun. Like if I'm not having fun with you, I'm not going to work with you because I got to see your fucking face all the time. Yeah. Money runs out. Like my mom is very particular about that. Like there was a certain point where I was working so hard where money was abundant, but I wasn't very happy. So that's the part where I'm learning to balance that a lot because at the end of the day, when I look at other people who have less than me and they're happier than me, that I have something missing here. I'm not functioning right here, right? Why the fuck is it that I could have all this material wealth, but they're the ones smiling all the time and I'm over here fucking miserable? Yeah. That's off. It doesn't make any sense. There's people I know who live in Hawaii. They have to work like 2-3 jobs to get by sometimes. And they're the happiest people I've ever seen. So where am I fucking up right now that I feel like I have to have more things to make me happier? And I figured out that's not for me. And I think people like me and Joe figured that out. You see Joe's fucking nuts.
First of all, I fucking love the energy that Joe has. I don't know what it is. He's such a free spirit and he's so weird and eccentric, but like pure.
Let me tell you something.
That makes any sense?
You want to talk about free? Joe went to fucking Vietnam and he ate ate out a hooker's pussy.
Wait, what? Wait.
You gotta talk about free. That's fucking free, baby.
Wait, when was this?
I don't know when it was. It was a story he told on the podcast a while ago.
God bless him. I knew I liked him.
This motherfucker was like, let me do your job for you, bitch.
Oh my God.
This dude cracks me the fuck up. But even for him too, like he had to figure out what makes him happy. He and I both went through a period where we were trying to work so hard. We said to ourselves that we are going to work so fucking hard right now that later on, then we can be happy. Yeah. We found out we could be happy now and still continue to work. Like he's like this close to living off the fucking grid. Yeah. Right. And you know, he
looks like it.
Let's just say something. He looks like he was a samurai for years and he traveled time and then he's like trying to figure out how to be
Have you
human.
heard of that story of that Japanese guy stuck in a cave who didn't know the war was over and he lived there for like 10, 15 years? Fuck? Okay, so I'm going to butcher the story, but there was a man during the war. I forgot which war. Terrible storytelling. But basically, he hid in
a war. Yeah.
A war with Japan.
Yeah.
But it was a Japanese man who hid in a cave because he thought the enemies were going to get him. Years down the line, he stayed in this cave for about like 10 to 15 years, like for well over a decade. When somebody came and found this odd old like man, hair disheveled, looks like fucking Asian Tarzan, they asked him, what are you doing? And he tried to kill those guys because he thought they were the enemy. Yeah. And he didn't know the war was over. That's what I get from Joe.
What the
That's what I get from Joe. A man who doesn't know the war is over. Joe
has figured out the key to his happiness, right? And
it's a beautiful thing though. Like you can tell when you see him.
Yeah, man. And we went through a very, I mean, imagine Joe being as a free spirit as he is, right? Yeah. And for people who are newly, Joe Jitsukawa is a part of this company called JK News. I'm only saying this as people who don't know sometimes, but we both, they built a really large company, and albeit it was a lot of work. Yeah. And I think the thing that we didn't think about is that when we build this company and we have people who are employees who are under us, we are now responsible for their livelihood. And that was a lot of pressure. Yeah. To be in a position where we have to worry whether they're going to get a next meal or not was a pressure that I felt like I couldn't really handle. That's why I functioned by myself because of my anxiety. Like I'm more worried about this person's paycheck than I am about my own well-being because I don't want to fail them. And that was the same thing for them too. They're like, well, we built this company and we were thinking about building it out. Like we spent a shit ton of money on these commercial offices and then we go, I don't think I like this. Like I made a desk job for myself. How the fuck did I do YouTube and then make a desk job, which is something that I never wanted to do? And I started doing like these scheduled things, and I figured out that I had to figure for both of us, we had to figure out a way where we could do the work but still have our fun now. Because at the end of the day, like I'm 33 now. Well, let's say I want to work hard for 10 years, then I'm 43, then I get to have fun. Fuck that, dude. Life is short. I want to have fun and be able to do both. And it's a matter of me figuring out how much do I need of these material things? And I don't really need much. I grew up as a Christian boy. Like, even within that religion, it's like, yo, you don't need material things to be happy. So when we started making a lot of money, I started buying everything that I wanted. Like, I'm pretty sure Brendan Schaub has a huge kit collection. I guarantee you 5 years ago, my kit collection shitted on his. Like, Jesus, it was Christ. Every fucking shoe you could fucking imagine I had. And so.
Who's your shoe plug?
I didn't have a plug. I just spent that money. It didn't fucking matter. Yeah, I didn't give a fuck. Okay. So because I wanted everything I didn't have when I was a kid. So that was my basis of happiness. I bought this thing, I walked away, and I said, this is going to make me happy.
And it never does.
And I was like, no, it's not. I got to buy another shoe. Put it on.
And that's how it happens. It's a slippery slope. Then you have LA. Yeah. And then you have LA.
I'm like this dude that has a bunch of shoes. I never wear them, never put them on my feet. So now I have this thing where it's like, I don't give a fuck how much the shoe is worth. If I fuck with it, I'll buy it, but I'll wear it all the time. Yeah. So now my shoe collection is down to like maybe 20 shoes now. So I don't have any of those shoes anymore. And so that was what we figured out. We enjoy life experiences. We enjoy traveling. I enjoy time with people now. Yeah. This is what this podcast is. I enjoy talking to new people. I enjoy hearing your story because this is the stuff that I'm going to remember for the rest of my life. Yeah. I'm not going to remember the shoe that I fucking bought. I'm not going to remember fucking, I don't know, like the car that I buy. Any of this stuff I'm going to forget about it. Because once that value goes away, you're going to try to replace that with something new. But that's why people have kids. That's why people build these things because they want to build it with the people around them. Because imagine if I was successful by myself. How lonely is that? How lonely is that?
Dude, here's the thing. I felt that recently because I was at that same place where I was working as hard as I could. And at one point I was juggling 4 jobs.
Damn.
I was juggling 4 jobs. Granted, there were other circumstances at play, like whatever. Okay. If you know my ex-boyfriend, please don't say anything to him. He's a good guy, nice guy. But he went through a rough patch. And when he moved to LA, it was very sudden and very abrupt.
Yeah.
I was here. I had just graduated from USC and I was starting to kind of get into my like adulthood. I got my first like adult job at a podcast and I was on the way to do an interview with another one when he said, I need to move out of where I'm at now in San Jose. He and I were high school sweethearts. I was with this guy for damn near 10 years.
Whoa!
Like 14 to 23, almost 24. Like high school sweetheart. I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with this man. I loved him more than I think I've loved anyone nuts. In my life. Mm-hmm. And because we've been together for so long, it didn't shock me when he was like, oh, like, can I move in with you? Because I had been with him at that point for like 6 years already. I'm like, yeah, sure, move in. So he came and he moved in with me. And about a month before he moved in with me, he had gotten a puppy. And I just moved out of the old apartment I was at that my parents used to pay for. And so now I'm living in basically a closet in Burbank, where it's 500 square feet studio apartment with all of the furniture that I had from a like 700 square foot apartment. So everything's like, it looked like a hoarding situation. And now I have his stuff too. And he was going through some shit where he was having a hard time making money. And I supported him from the day not even the day, I would say like 6 months before that, up until he and I broke up. Financially took care of this man for that entire time.
Holy shit.
And I loved him so much that I took on 4 jobs just to support him.
You're fucking crazy.
While he was at home playing video games.
You're fucking nuts.
Like when I say I love hard, I fucking love hard.
That's
and so
crazy.
Many people give me a bad rap. They're like, oh, you broke up with him because you got popping on the podcast, this and that. Bitch, I was a sugar mom. What are you talking about?
That's crazy.
But yeah, like working long hours and working hard doesn't scare me. What scared me was like the thought of like losing somebody that I loved. So I was willing to work all these jobs. And I was having no fun. I had no friends. I had no sort of like sense of stability. And when he and I ended up breaking up, it was like I was out of that relationship mentally for, I'd say, about 8 months. Because I was just working the entire time. I never saw him.
Holy shit.
And I got to a place where I was like, damn, I'm not having fun. And I am in my early 20s. I'm working my dream job at a podcast. I don't even care that I'm working these other jobs, but I'm just not fucking happy. Like, why am I not happy now? And so I started telling myself, maybe if you just keep working your ass off now, later on, it'll pay off and you can be happy then. I don't know when it is, but it'll be later. And once you have a certain amount of money in your bank account, you and him will be good again. It'll be like none of this ever happened. It'll be a funny little story. And so fast forward a year and a half in, all that hard work started to pay off. And I got taken on full time at the podcast. So now I'm just podcasting full time and I am making more money than I have made with those past like 3 other jobs combined.
Yeah.
And I'm so happy I'm in this brand new apartment. It's like it's not like that bougie, but in comparison to the 500 square foot,
it's
like,
a come
closet,
up. It feels good.
It was amazing. And then he and I just sat down one day while we were settling into this new apartment. I was like,
it didn't fix anything.
Happy. I'm looking around and I'm like, I should be happy. Everything should be the same. And it wasn't until like he and I broke up and I had a real conversation with him like, yo, I love you, but in 4 months, if this keeps going on, I'm going to hate you. Like, I know that we got to split up or I'm going to hate you and resent you for years to come. Like, I don't want it to come to that. I've been with you forever. You're like my best friend, but we need to split ways. And so we broke up, didn't end the best. But then after that, I was alone for a while. And suddenly, like after the whole breakup happened and I became okay with being alone for the first time since I was 14.
Oh shit, that's rough.
I was like, the first like
that's
2
rough.
months, it was fucking rough.
Let me tell you, this woman leaves me, I'm dead.
Oh my God.
I don't, I wouldn't know what to do. I don't know how to talk to women anymore.
That's why I thought I was so lucky because I was like, okay, I got out of this while I was 24. Imagine if this happened and I was like 37.
Oh, you'd be fucked. Like
I'd be fucked. I have no social skills.
Like if I come, I wouldn't know what to do. Like if I came up with the girl, I'm like, hey, like a nice pussy. Like
you're gonna eat that hooker's pussy if you know.
Yeah, I was like, that's a nice pussy. Like, what'd you say? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but like the moment I was alone, I finally got to breathe. I was like, okay, I can start kind of rebuilding a foundation of what makes me happy.
Isn't that crazy though? Because you've been with somebody so long, a lot of your moves that you make isn't about yourself, it's about you and them, right? And so it's like, especially in your case, because you took on such a honestly like a mother responsibility. Everything that you were doing was for this guy. And then now you're in a position where it's like, this is not my responsibility. Now I have to focus on myself. I have to focus on Kat. And now you're just in this new world where you have to learn how to adapt to this because it wasn't how it was before. And
it's so weird. Like, because I had been with him since I was 14. Like, I never really had a dating, like, wild party girl dating stage. I went from being super sheltered with this boyfriend to like now I'm single and I'm 24.
Did he feel like you were leaving him because of your success?
No, he knew it wasn't that. I straight up told him like, I need you to pull more weight in. And he started to very, very slowly, but only when I had to ask him.
Which
it was
is
one of those things
attractive.
where it's like, it's not attractive to have to ask your significant other, like, I need you to financially bring in your weight.
Yeah.
When, like, I know that I am making enough money to take care of both of us comfortably now, but I shouldn't have to ask you.
Yeah, where's his pride in as a human being too? Yeah. Like, I'm not saying that, let's say like my fiance makes more than me. I'm not going to stop working. I'm going to still do what I do and have a passion about what I do. Yeah. And it sucks for you when you're such a motivated human being. You're finding things every day to kind of level up and your partner isn't doing the same. It brings you down. Yeah, it happens in your personal friendships too, right?
Absolutely. With friendships all the time. And you're just like, this is a fucking bummer. Yeah. And when you see the first beginnings of it, you're like, fuck, I hope I'm proven wrong, but I know how this ends.
And I say it all the time. It's not that something's wrong with the people that we have around us. It's like we could still be acquaintances, but the more I start to try to be better and you start to
We're on different paths.
We're on different paths. Yeah. We're still close. We're still homies. Yeah. But now we have less and less to talk about because every time we come back, we have a conversation. It's about what I'm doing. And I ask you what you're doing. You go, oh, same shit. Yeah. Then the conversation dies. We relate less. And that sucks more on a relationship level too. Like I've always wanted to be with somebody who is independent and has goals of their own. Yeah. And I talked about it with my fiance and she opened up on this podcast talking about how she was in a position where she thought that she didn't realize it, but everything she was doing was for me. She goes, I'm happy when David's happy. And I'm like, no. You need to be happy on your own. Yeah. Your happiness shouldn't be dictated by how I feel. It should be how you feel. And so she found that out going through therapy. And I think that's the part where people get lost sometimes in their relationships. Like your personal happiness is dependent on your partner. And that's not fair. And for him, he was probably okay, kind of cruising, and he probably knew things were going bad. Yeah. But, you were paying for everything.
I think it also didn't help. Like, I don't think it was him necessarily trying to play victim, but that I would coddle him too, because I would feel bad. Like, I kind of put him in this position where, like, I'm making the money. He came to LA to be with me, so, like, I should... Like, and suddenly, like, it felt like responsibility, and then that's where resentment happened.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot to fucking deal with, though. I couldn't imagine being in a 10-year relationship and then trying to make moves after. Like, that's the... I feel it's a little easier for girls, though. Like,
it's definitely easier for girls.
Yeah, there's always a line waiting for a girl. It's like, okay, but for a guy, sometimes...
A girl has a backup, like a runner-up, Miss Congeniality.
Exactly. Waiting in the wings. But these guys are like, yo, fuck. Especially in his case, you were the sugar mama, so now he's just out on his ass. Yeah. He doesn't know what the fuck to do. But that's a position that he put himself in. Yeah. So, which kind of sucks. Like, that's fucking unattractive.
It's unattractive. Oh my God.
Like, did that affect like your guys' sex life a lot?
Yes, absolutely. Here's the thing. I have and again, I think it's because I have strict tiger parents and I was beaten a lot as a child. I had such a high fucking libido. Yeah. It's insane. And so, like, the moment when I stopped wanting sex, it's like, oh, something's wrong. But I always blamed it on my birth control. It's like, oh, maybe it's just like hormones, this and that. I switched so many birth controls. It was on the birth control.
So you didn't think that it was maybe this?
I'd say like the last year and a half of our relationship, that's when it clicked. I was like, it's not the birth control.
Oh my God. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah. It was one of those things where we would have sex and it'd be enjoyable, but it's always out of like, I had a clock in my head, like, ooh, I haven't done it in a while. I gotta check this off. Yeah. And so it wasn't enjoyable. And then the moment he and I broke up, I started having sex normally. I was like, oh, here it is.
So it was him.
Yeah. Here's the little slut.
That's fucking funny.
And now I'm dating a former porn star.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my boyfriend used to do porn.
What the fuck? Dude, your fucking story is so weird. I'm sorry. Like, you went from this is why you don't beat your kids. Don't beat your kids. That's why you don't fucking shelter them too hard. They're gonna figure out what's on the other side. Fuck, man.
To be fair, my parents love him though.
That's fucking fun. He's a former porn star. How long did you do porn for?
I want to say about a year, maybe.
Damn,
he was dating a very well-known porn star, and then when she stopped getting, the way it was explained to me, like when she stopped wanting to do normal porn and it kind of got into like the OnlyFans territory, she's like, oh, I can do this with whoever I want now that I'm my own boss. Yeah. So I would rather just do it with my boyfriend. And that's how he got into porn. And then he and her broke up, and they still did porn for a little bit to make money during the pandemic. But once they broke up, I actually met him on the podcast, and he and I started dating shortly after. And I told him like, hey, I know you're like, I've always known that you've done porn because you're boys with my boss, and I've always known of you. But like now that we're dating, it's a little different. As much as I like you, I am not secure enough to be okay with having a partner who does porn actively right now. Oh, that's like I don't care that I don't care that you've done porn. Like that is the last of my worries. Yeah, but like with me right now, I just know that I am very territorial, and I will not feel comfortable with you doing porn, let alone porn with your ex-girlfriend. So I'm just gonna have to cut this off here. I tried to break up with him multiple times, and he eventually, I think like the second week where I was like, yeah, I'm still not trying to like talk to you, hang out with you, like we're not dating anymore. He just kind of slowly stopped doing porn. And he never told me. Okay. Like he and I would hang out and we would hook up, and I'd always say like, oh, this is the last time, but it wasn't. And slowly over time, I just thought like, he hasn't done any porn. And I asked him, he's like, yeah, I stopped doing porn because you didn't want to date me. Oh, wow. I was like, oh, wow. And he was like, had no income at that point in time. He was during the pandemic. He was like squatting in his apartment in Costa Mesa to be with me. What the fuck? Shit, that's good
dedication, dude.
Yeah,
that's nuts, man. Like I actually brought somebody on this podcast who was in the porn world, and this bitch tried to do some crazy. Like I already got a fucking. I actually still have the clip. I have the podcast in my shit.
Yeah.
Because so. This young lady, basically, I wanted to ask her about her in the porn industry because it's an Asian girl. And I'm always so curious about how Asian women get into porn, specifically because of that tiger Asian parent type of stuff, right? Yeah. And so, like, I wanted to see what that story is in that transition. And it went from this weird podcast where she was talking about, like, her really personal stuff, like her ex-boyfriend coming in doing crazy shit and all this other stuff. And I started getting a little uncomfortable, and I actually cut the podcast off a little earlier. Yeah. And then she starts bawling and crying, talking about her personal issues. And the reason why I was like, cool, well, I've recorded this in the office. The podcast is here. I'm not going to get caught up on some bullshit because she's going to try to spin some kind of crazy story. Yeah. So what I did was, all right, cool. I'm going to call you an Uber. So I have it on my thing that I called you an Uber. It's timed when we did the podcast in case she tries to say anything, right? And I was creeped the fuck out. Like I'm getting goosebumps right now because I felt like she was trying to do some shit. Yeah. Later on, she starts messaging all my friends saying like, is it normal to be on the podcast where somebody is like trying to pressure you to tell you stories that you don't want to tell? And like, this is your friend David is doing. I'm like, bitch, I have the recorded podcast. Like, what are you talking about?
Like, I have proof.
Yeah, you know recorded. That, right? What are you fucking talking about? Yeah. And so she was messaging everybody that I knew. Oh, and it was during the whole Me Too thing, so she was trying to extort me. Yeah. I'm like, bitch, I'm the most respectful. You'll never get the story. I'm the most respectful motherfucker you'll ever meet. And so I got freaked out. I'm like, yo, and here's the thing too, like, I understand her story and her case because she's probably been through so much fucking trauma. Yeah. Right. I don't know what's going on about that because I don't know anything about the porn world. But when I talked to her and I started talking to other people, I started hearing their stories about like where they came from before they went to the porn industry.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, these girls are damaged, dude. Like there's something fucking off about some of these people. And I got scared.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, thank God I had my podcast at another space where they can't say I brought them into my home. Yeah. That's why I moved to an office, because I was scared of people. Because I was scared people were going to do that. Now I only bring people on this podcast that I at least know or we have a small community with.
Yeah.
Because I'm not having people trying to fuck me over like
it's
that. It's
definitely scary because you never, with doing something like this, you never know what someone can say or do. You really don't. And
yeah,
you like to give people the benefit of the doubt, but when you hear and see so many stories time and time again where people take advantage of a movement, you're like, oh shit. And that's not to take away from like that either.
Yeah, and I got freaked out. I was like, I can't believe somebody's trying to pull this shit on me. Like me, of all people. Like, of all people. Yeah, I was like, me? Because she actually approached me as a fan of mine.
Oh.
And so I was like, oh, dope. And I didn't know.
So she hit you up.
Yeah, I didn't know what she did, but she took a photo with me at a Send Foods event.
Yeah.
And this random girl, and then a buddy of mine was like, dude, that's a porn star. I was like, what? What do you mean? He's like, that girl is a porn star. I was like, how do you know that? He goes, dude, I jack off to her all the time. I was like, okay, I get it. And so I was like, oh, cool. It'd be dope.
He's like, oh, I know.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, bro, you don't have to say. Your text smells funny. And so I brought her on, and then lo and behold, this woman tried to go all fucking Me Too on my ass over nothing. I'm like, bro, it was a podcast. I asked you about your industry. And then she tried to spin it. I was like, but that's not going to make sense because the podcast recorded. Yeah. Like, what were you going to do? I would just release the podcast and then that's it.
Like the full unedited footage. And then suddenly everyone knows that you're a liar.
Then she kept messaging me over and over. She wanted to come back on the podcast. He goes, I want to redo it. I'm like, I will never speak to you ever again. Are you out of your mind? But she is out of her fucking mind. And I think she actually quit the industry. Because she has like some mental issues that she has to deal with. And then her friend, she said, can I bring my friend too? I was like, yeah, of course you could bring your friend because I want her to feel comfortable. Yeah. And then her friend tried to come back on my podcast. I'm like, none of you are allowed back on here. You fucking crazy people, dude. Like I don't fuck with you. That's why from here on out, I don't know you. You're not coming on this podcast. Yeah. I'm scared, dude. Yeah. I'm super scared.
It's a scary time in a scary place.
Was it intimidating for you? Well, he only did porn with his girlfriend, though, right?
Yeah.
Ex-girlfriend.
I think, the way he was always introduced to me was almost like a myth, like a mythological creature. Because the whole thing, when I got onto the podcast, I always heard that they have a friend named Stevie Blue Eyes. Okay. And he is a guy who went to prison for 9 years because he was in federal prison because he got caught on like conspiracy to distribute or something. Okay. He was like a part of like some drug dealing mafia shit. No. Drug dealing like mafia shit. Okay. Nothing violent that I know of.
And you'll figure that later.
No, he's a small guy though. He's 5'9". It's fine. You can do it.
I was like, oh shit, man.
But he's the nicest guy ever. He's like a golden retriever who was in the pound. That's really like my description of him. And they would tell people like, oh yeah, he had cancer when he was a kid. He thought he was dying, and he was in prison for drugs, and now he's doing porn. And I was like, who the fuck is this kid? Who is this guy? It's just so weird. And I had never met him in my 2.5 years of working there. And one day he just randomly came in because he was in town. He was living in Vegas at the time, but he came in town for his birthday, celebrating with my bosses and some of his friends. He was hungover, came into the podcast the day after his birthday. And that's how I met him. And I was like, oh, hi. And I gave him this handshake that like now he's super angry about because he said that he wanted a hug. And he thought that like he and I were already friends because we were like in the podcast world. But I want to shake his hand because in my head, I'm like, I don't fucking know you.
Yeah.
You're like some fuckboy who like fucks porn stars and goes to prison for drugs. So, like, no. We did the whole podcast and they always talk about his dick. Always. He has. And this was a thing that happened even before he started doing porn. They talk about how big his dick is.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And they used to like show everyone photos of his dick, which is like hilarious. Weird. Why do you have your boy's fucking dick pic on your phone?
That's white people shit, baby.
But that's white people shit. Yeah. Great culture. I'm not judging or anything. I'm a part of it now.
I'm judging the fuck out of that shit.
Love you guys. Yeah. And he and I started dating shortly after that. And at the time, I wanted nothing to do with him because I thought he was still dating his ex because I knew he was still doing porn. And he started telling me all these super personal details of his life. And he was like, oh, by the way, like, I don't have a girlfriend. And I was like, why are you telling me this?
Oh,
like,
I
thought he was just
what's
like,
up?
And he's like, oh, because I like you. I was like, oh, what?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I guess, whatever. And I wanted nothing to do with him. Like, I'd only text him back once a day out of obligation because I thought he was like my boss's friend. And one day he just like, I got bored and started messaging him, and he and I started dating shortly after that. We would text for months before he and I actually hung out separately because of the pandemic. He moved to Costa Mesa, stayed there, and I drove down to see him. And in my head, I'm like, if he tries something, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I am intimidated of this fucking
his dong, baby,
this gorilla dick. I am so fucking intimidated. And I just, the entire time we're watching food videos on his couch, like on YouTube, like BuzzFeed's best 10 places in LA to eat for 3 fucking hours. In the last like 10 minutes of us hanging out, he made a move, he started kissing me, and I was so intimidated. I was like, okay, I gotta go home. I like ran to my car.
Well, you were previously with somebody for 10 years.
Yeah, and then the next person who wanted to date me was a fucking porn star with this like
How
massive
fucking crazy
dick.
is that? How crazy is that shit?
It's so weird. And that's why people give me shit for it now. They're like, how'd you go from being like this nice girl to OnlyFans and you're dating a porn star? I'm like, first of all, this is the fucking most wholesome person besides like his sketchy past. If you know him, he's the most wholesome person you'll ever meet. All he wants to do is go to Home Goods and fucking work out all day.
How many people were you with sexually before your last boyfriend?
It was before my no, it was just my boyfriend at that time.
So this is your second person that you've been with?
No, so there was a short amount of time
where you hoed out a little bit.
I hoed out.
Okay.
I hoed out. When my boyfriend and I broke up, there was a few months I didn't tell anybody, not even people I worked with, because I didn't want it to be like a thing on the podcast. And then it came out on the podcast, and at that time, like I had already had like a booty call because I was like, I need to fuck something. So I had this guy that I was seeing here and there, and we both made it very clear, like, we're just here to hook up, whatever. And then he ended up catching feelings. So I was like, okay, peace. Bye.
We got to go somewhere else.
And I started dating around for a little bit. I fucked in total 4 people, but gave head to 5 people. So people think like I'm like this big hoe now that I'm with a porn star, but it's like, no, I hoed out for a little bit, but not that crazy.
I mean, that body count's pretty fucking low though.
Yeah.
That's really low.
I just did a lot of work in like 3 months.
you just did some work in between because that body count's really fucking low.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. I think because like I'm on OnlyFans and because like I'm dating a porn star, people think that I'm super like
That's
sexually
so
active
funny,
and like super promiscuous.
So it was intimidating for you to hook up this dude because they talked about his massive
Yes.
bump.
And when we were making out, I saw like the side of the sweatpants. Like,
of it. So it's like, it's for real. And you're like, oh shit.
I was like, oh, like,
and that's the biggest one you've ever been with.
Yes. But here's the thing. A lot of people make like terrible, like shitty, like small Asian dick jokes on the podcast. But my ex-boyfriend has the second largest dick I ever fucked. Okay. And he's not that far off from my current boyfriend.
Holy shit.
He had a big dick for an Asian guy, but I didn't know this because he's the only dick I fucked.
Yeah, so you don't know what your standard is.
I didn't know until the next guy after my ex. I was like, huh.
Like, oh, okay. So you were prepped correctly.
Yeah, and then it was like the next guy after him, and I was like, oh, my ex had a big dick. And I didn't even know it.
Dude, there were some, I remember too when I was in high school, I had a homie, and it was an Asian dude, right? And people would always joke about his big dick. I never saw his dick. But one time this fool was like, you want to know how big my dick is? I was like, no, bro, nobody wants. I ain't gonna show it to you, right? And this fool in his basketball shorts, he had these baby blue Jordan shorts, and he just outlined it. I'm like, is that a baby arm? What the fuck is that, guy?
Basically, baby arm.
I was like, what the fuck is that? This guy was like 5'4".
Yeah.
And that shit was like literally, if he just pulled his shorts up a little bit, we would have probably saw the tip of it. I'm like, what is this? How do you function?
You know what's even more confusing? People who are growers. When you're like, oh, I can kind of imagine, and it just keeps growing and growing, especially like if it's in your mouth and it's soft, and then you're like, oh shit, this is too much.
I feel
suddenly I'm choking.
I think a lot of Asian dudes are growers. Like they're small.
Yeah, Asian dudes are growers,
and then it grows bigger.
Yeah,
right?
That's why. Like if you saw an Asian dude flaccid, you'd think that they'd have small dicks, but they don't.
I saw this documentary on. It was like the UK or some shit like that. It's like the BBC channel, right? Yeah. And it was literally this study of men who wanted to know. It was like something about average penis size or something like that, right? And so they were talking about growers and showers. And I'm super young at this point. At this point, I thought the grower and shower thing was like a joke, right? But there's people who have a big ass dick, flaccid, and when it's erect, it's the same size. Yeah, which is shocking.
Which is like, weird to me.
Oh shit,
I've only seen one of them in person.
So when I was looking at, and they would on the BBC special, they would have the guys go erect because they were essentially what they were doing was trying to test out to see if these penis enlargement pills work, if pumps work, whatever these different modalities of getting your dick bigger is effective or not. Yeah. And so they were showing growers and showers, and there was a guy who had a 6-inch dick. Flaccid. So I assumed that it was going to go to 9, but it was 6 flaccid, 6 hard. Yeah. I was like, what the fuck is that?
It just like stood up.
It just stood up. I'm like, oh, that's what that is. That's a shower.
I think that's why that whole like Asian guys have small dicks is a thing, because it's like you assume that it's just that's the dick that you get.
Because it's a grower.
Yeah, but it's a grower.
I have a homegirl of mine who specifically doesn't like showers.
Oh, because she's expecting more.
She wants to be the person that makes it grow. So she's like, I don't like showers. I was like, why? Because I want to know that I made that tiny thing big. Yeah. So she specifically doesn't like showers. She likes growers only.
She likes that Jack and the Beanstalk.
She wants to be the person that turned you on to make you hard like that. Oh, how fucking weird. That's her requirement.
Oh, wow. You know what I always thought with the like little Asian guys have little dick jokes? I always thought that realistically, if this is real, and let's say Asian guys do statistically have smaller dicks, I thought that was then paired with the thing of Asian women having tight pussies. I thought it was supposed to fit because like us ethnically as people are supposed to procreate. So like a small dick is meant for like a tight pussy. Yeah. I thought that's what it was.
Pussies are weird though. They're all different sizes too. Just all like different. Dicks are. There's like girls who are bigger that I've hooked up with. Like they have.
Could you feel it?
Yes, you can tell when a girl has a really tight and a cavernous pussy. Like it just
cavernous
pussy. Like literally, it feels different. Yeah. Some girls are a little tighter. And this has nothing to do with Asian, Mexican, or anything else like that.
It's just the way your body's built.
Yeah, everybody's built different too. Yeah. Like growing up too, because when you watch like porn and you watch certain things about women before you even have sex with anybody, it skews your perception of what the female body is. So a lot of dudes...
I used to watch so much porn as a kid. I'm telling you, I used to dry hump pillows like since I was 6 years old.
Why are you so sexually active? Like,
I don't know.
It's just always been like that for you?
It's always been like that. Always. And I didn't know I had like a high sex drive or a high libido until I got out of my breakup with my ex-boyfriend. Because all the guys I would date after that, I was like, oh, you have like a crazy sex drive. And I'm like, oh, this is just what I've always known. This is just me. I thought everyone felt like this.
That's so crazy. Yeah. I'm the opposite. I have a very low libido.
Really?
Because I don't know what it is, but I think that's probably why I've been able to have so many female friends. Because like I don't really care. Yeah. You know, it's not like low in the sense I never want to have sex, but I wasn't one of those dudes that every time
always trying to get laid.
Every conversation was about getting your dick sucked. I didn't care. I was playing guitar. I was trying to do stand up. I was
playing guitar.
Yeah, I was like doing other shit.
Okay,
you know
John
what I mean?
Mayer.
Yeah, so I never really cared about that specifically. Yeah. So when I remember I was with this one girl, Filipino girl, and her libido was fucking high. I legit stopped talking to her because she wanted to have too much sex. I was exhausted.
Really?
Too much. Like every fucking time we met up, she wanted to hook up. Yeah. And I'm like, bitch, I'm exhausted. Yeah. Your boy trying to do stand up. I'm working 2 jobs. Like I can't do it. And then for her, she equated affection with being sexually desired. So,
okay, that makes sense.
And I couldn't match it. I'm like, it's not that I don't want you. Like you are very attractive.
Love languages are different.
Exactly. But she needed to fuck all the time. And that's when I realized like, yo, I'm actually not that like sex driven. Yeah. You know, I'm more about conversation, whether a girl can make me laugh. If she allows herself to be embarrassed, she could take a joke. This is the stuff that actually gets me like turned on. Yeah. Like the actual act of having sex, I can't just fuck when you want to fuck. It doesn't work that way. If let's say, for example, I know people who get into arguments with their significant other and they just fuck it out. Yeah. I can't do that. If we're fighting,
I can't either.
If we're fighting, get the fuck away from me. Like you touch me, I will fucking kill myself.
Oh, I'm the opposite. I get mad, but if you don't come to try to like make up with me, I get mad. I'm like, get the fuck away from me. And then 2 minutes later, if he does leave me alone, I look over.
Why are you getting the fuck away from me?
I'm over here like, do you not love me anymore? Like, what is wrong with you?
I mean, I gotta bounce. I gotta be away. I gotta kickbox, do something else. Yeah. I'm not really about that type of shit.
I just want to hug.
That's so fucking funny. So your love language is physical touch.
Physical touch, yes. I think it's because I wasn't hugged enough as a child.
Your parents just beat your ass. The only time I get touched is when my dad would sock me in the face.
Yes. Thanks, Dad.
That's crazy.
Just kidding. It was my mom.
Did you always like need that physical touch all the time, or is it something that
I think I didn't realize that I needed physical touch until I received it, like from a boyfriend. Like the moment I kind of got comfortable enough with my ex, I start to realize like, oh, I'm one of those people who like PDA all the time, and it's just because having like a hand on me, or like even if we're sitting across the couch from each other, if like your leg is touching my leg, I feel like I'm loved. Yeah. I feel like that physical touch just lets me know like you're there and you're not going to leave.
I'm physical touch in that sense too. So my love language, physical touch is first, but it's not sex. It's like just.
Yeah, same. It's not necessarily sex, but it's like I need like your physical warmth, presence. Yeah.
Like put a foot on me, touch my knee, something, and I'm pretty much fucking good. Yeah. You know, which for me is really important. That's why I can't do long distance relationships. I need to physically be around you. Not all the time, because I'm like hyper independent, and my fiance is also hyper independent.
You just need that like physical touch at some point.
At some point, right? So I don't need her to be around me 24/7. She has her own job. She has her own friends.
It's like a Tesla. You got to charge her at the end.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I just need a little, like, I don't know, rub my head or something. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I know that, you know, we're good. So like for hers is words of affirmation. So I got to gas her up all the time. Like, man, you cleaned that spoon real nice, baby. Like, so random. And you know, I grew up no words of affirmation my whole life. Yeah. So it's hard for me sometimes. Like I have to tell her good job. I was never told good job as a kid. Yeah. Never. I remember my dad once told me good job, and I only knew this because we got into an argument and he told me this was his way of saying good job. It's like
he cut you some fruit.
He didn't beat my ass that day. Yeah. So what happened was after I left UCR, I was doing really bad there. I went to community college, and I figured out, okay, I want to do well in school. So during summer school, when I was trying to get more credits to make up for the ones I failed at UCR, I aced all my classes. And my dad came up to me and he tapped me in the butt. And then I forgot we got into an argument.
That's a lot of physical affection though for an Asian parent.
And I was
on the butt?
I remember we got into this huge argument and he was calling me stupid or whatever. And I looked at him, I was like, you have never ever told me good job once in your life. And I was like, everything that I do at this point, you told me you knew what was going to make me happy, and I followed your rules and I'm still not happy. He goes, what do you mean? I told you good job 2 weeks ago. I was like, when? He goes, I did this to your butt. I was like, you fucking.
That's so cute.
That was your good job? Just say it. Just say good job. He can't. He's like, it's not possible. It doesn't work.
It's like he watched an American football movie. Like, this is what they do. And this is a good job.
I've acquired a small version of that. Yeah. So I'm only used to saying good job when I truly believe you've done something amazing. But sometimes some people just need a good job for the small victories. Yeah. And that's what she needs. I'm not used to that. And I witnessed it one time when we went swimming at her dad's house. Yeah. We're in the pool. And Mariel is climbing this thing. It's the pool has like this whole Tahitian vibe. There's a slide and all this other shit. Yeah. And she's like rock climbing it. And she's like looking at her dad going, Dad, look at, this is a 30-year-old woman. She goes, Dad, look at me. Am I doing a good job? He's like, good job, sweetie. I looked at her father. I was like, fuck you. This is why I have this problem. Because you're mad positive. Like you're telling her like good job for all the stuff, which is a good thing. I'm not used to that. Yeah. So now I'm learning to say thank you a lot more. I'm learning to say, hey, this is she could do literally shit. And I'm just telling her a good job because it makes her feel good. It's important.
That's cute. Yeah.
So now I'm like, and it's good too, because I feel like if I have kids, I should be able to do that too as well.
Yeah, it's almost like prep.
For sure. And I'm not used to that shit, dude. Like I'm used to doing stuff because you know you're supposed to do it. Oh, my kids are gonna go to therapy for sure, dude. Yeah. I almost want my kid to be gay. Just like I said, listen, I love you, but you got to let me make some gay jokes at you. Yeah. Like, because daddy loves you and I love your life, but daddy's daddy.
This is for me.
Like, I'm gonna like give my kids like hot dogs all the time. Like, you like this, right? This is what you like, fucking gay boy. Daddy loves you. Give me a kiss. I can't wait, dude. Like, I feel like hopefully I'll be a good dad, dude. I'm scared. Like, having kids scares the fuck out of me.
Same. I am so afraid of having kids. I want them, but I think because of my situation with my ex, I have almost like resented being a mother.
Like,
I don't want to take care of another person besides myself.
It's just you were in an extreme case though. I've never heard of somebody taking on 4 jobs so their boyfriend could play games all day. I'm surprised you didn't fucking. Oh my god, I can't believe you didn't murder him. Like,
I came close.
And then somehow you still end up having sex with him. I don't see that happening. Because how unattractive is that? Like
it's very unattractive, and it's not necessarily like I thought he was physically unattractive or anything. It's just
it's mental. Everything.
It's everything is mental at that point. Like every little thing that I used to love about him then became like, oh, I fucking hate this thing.
I truly believe that girls have a higher capacity to love because they could find things attractive about a man that's outside of the physicality of things. Like if you have like a vibe and a connection with somebody, that stuff, though it's very important to be physically attractive, I feel girls are better at that than men are. Yeah. Where it's like, yeah, they might not be the most physically attractive person, but they make me happy, they make me laugh, and that becomes more sexually attractive than the other things. Yeah. I feel guys are a little more the opposite, where they say that they do that, but I mean, you could see this in the best way possible is when some of the most fucking ugliest dudes catcall women who are way better looking than them. Yeah. Thinking that, I don't know what they think. It's like, they're like, you don't know what the fuck I do with that. It's like, what would you do with that, bro? You would do nothing with it.
Spell it out for me.
Yeah, tell me what you would do. Boy. Walk up to that person and say something, and they're not going to do it. And I think I see that in that type of case where our ability to find somebody attractive is limited to our physical attraction towards a woman versus a girl. Yeah. Girls are just better at that shit.
I think so too.
I asked my fiance on the podcast, I was like, when I was at my fucking fattest, like,
oh, you were big when you guys got together.
Oh, I was big, yo. And I didn't know I was big. I thought I was
fine. What do you mean you don't know?
I knew I was big. I didn't know I was big though. Because my self-esteem is mad high. So like your boy was over here like, yo, I'm desirable. You know? I didn't know this type of shit. And you know, when I was hitting on her, I was a big dude. Yeah. So, and she was with dudes that were rock climbers, like physically fit people. I just never took my size. And I also, too, not even just my size.
The wall.
Not even just my size. I didn't give a fuck about what I dressed like, looked like, anything. I just let my mouth do the talking. So that's.
See, but you had that confidence.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like women have a higher capacity to find somebody more attractive. Yeah. If the confidence is there, if they have something going on for them. Yeah. And so even for her, I asked her, I was like, was there, come on, be real. Like, did you really find me attractive? She goes, I never actually cared as much. Like, man, that's a down ass bitch. Cause it's pretty amazing. Cause I look at some of these old photos where I was so focused on being a comic, what I looked like and everything else didn't fucking matter to me. Yeah. So, you know, at a certain point I was like 280 pounds, like 280 pounds. Fucking John Jones isn't 280 pounds and he's a heavy one. I weighed more than Francis Ngannou. Do you understand? Like
that's a good way to scale it.
Yeah. And I'm like, holy shit, I weigh more than some of the top heavyweights in the UFC. Doesn't make any fucking sense.
Someone should have gave you a show on TLC.
Let me tell you something, dude. Like, I'm trying to get some brand deals right now. I'm like, listen, I got 30 more pounds to lose. I'll make sure it's because of your fucking machine. And at this point, too, now I'm in a space
Peloton, what's good?
Yeah, Peloton, hit me up, bro. Let me know. Your boy lose like 30 pounds right now.
Asian lives matter, Peloton.
I know. Well, you don't care about me? Come on. But yeah, when I was, she still found me attractive. Yeah. You know, despite like physically I wasn't there, which is kind of, and so everything for her right now is a bonus. Oh, it's a big bonus. Yeah. I'm like, oh, this is a down ass woman, and I really appreciate that about her. Yeah,
yeah. I feel like with my boyfriend, his like love language is touch as well, and so him and I are that disgusting couple in public who are always like hugging up on each other. Like we're literally like we're in line trying to get fucking boba, and I'm like we're hugging, straight up hugging, like that fucking spirit woman was hugging you for 5 minutes, just waiting in line.
That's not even bad. Let me tell you something about this couple that I know, right? Yeah. I love this dude. I love his wife, whatever. They have a beautiful family.
Is this Bart and Gio?
No. They're very not much PDA. Like they're like lightweight PDA.
Yeah.
I knew a fucking couple that, I shit you fucking not, me and my friends were in a car and the couple was on my left and to my right. Yeah. Right. So I was in the middle, sitting here, and they were like, they were staring at each other through me. I feel like she was looking into my ear hole to look at his face. The most uncomfortable thing, and they're complimenting each other from the sides of me, and I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on? We get out of the fucking car. They come up. They start making out an Eskimo kiss, and they're like, I missed you so much, because I was in the middle. And they missed each other.
I hate that and I love it so much. I wish I knew what it was like to be that in love. Oh my God. I wanted
to fucking kill these people.
That's so cute. She comes up, she goes,
I missed you. I'm like, bitch, you were in the same car. I was just in the middle. But everywhere they go, they're literally fucking, their lips are touching as they're walking. I'm not even exaggerating. I'm literally talking about it. I've seen them walk next to each other and smooch as they're walking down the street in K-Town. I wanted to fucking kill them. I wanted to kill them so bad because it made everybody so uncomfortable. Yeah. We're like eating Korean barbecue. They're literally making out as we're eating and we're drinking throughout the whole fucking night. You guys are at quarters having a good ass time. Good ass time. And they're just like, I love your eyes. I love your face. Oh, I can't do that. I would be so embarrassed to tell like my significant other like a compliment like that in public. Oh, it was loud. I can't do that. They're like, I love the way that you speak. You're so cute. Oh my God, I love. And they're Eskimo kissing. They're fucking touching nose tips. Like, question: are they Asian? Yes, they're both Korean. What? Yeah, it's so weird. Weird shit. Wait, what? Dude. I just never. Unicorns found each other. Because I don't mind PDA, but you got to be mindful of people around you. Like it's a little fucking. Does our love make you uncomfortable? Yes, it does. It fucking does. Now cut that shit out. Do it somewhere else. It's just so. It just makes my skin crawl a little bit. I don't mind when people hug up on each other. But they're literally complimenting. Wow. They're doing a compliment battle. Against that, you love my eyebrows. I love the way your nose looks. Like they're doing baby talk. Disgusting. I love it. I want it. Oh my God. I want it. I need it. I love the veins on your penis. It looks like an angry baby arm. I love it. Oh my God. You want to know my favorite part about finally like fucking him and seeing his dick in person? He has a tattoo of Homer Simpson right by his thigh, looking at his dick going, no. That's and I got to see it in person. Funny, dude. That's so hilarious. Now every single time I'm down there giving head, I'm staring at Homer in the eyes. Do you have sex every day? Not every day. I'd say like every few days, like 2-3 days. Okay, that's pretty normal. It depends, dude. It really depends. I know some people who only have sex like once a month. That's like, and they're happy. Hard for me. They just don't. Yeah. Well, I don't know. They have kids though, so it's different. Yeah, kids is different. When kids get in the mix, it's exhausting. If you don't fuck me and it's been longer than I'd say like 3 days, I start to think you don't love me. Like straight up. You're like that fucking one girl. Her love language was fucking, dude. But it's okay because there was a point in time when like he and I couldn't have sex for 2 weeks because I had a health issue with my uterus and I had to go to doctors, take medicine. They were like, abstain from sex for this amount of time. I was like, okay, cool. And by, I'd say day 6, I was begging him for dick. I was like, babe, please, don't put it anywhere. I don't care. Really? I'm like, do you love me? I became so clingy and so needy because I didn't get dick. Wow. I was like, I need something. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot. That's so much work. I'm exhausted thinking about that shit. Yeah, and then suddenly I started making fun of him like, you little fucking prude, come here and fuck me. It's like, you have a problem with your uterus, right? Yeah. Like, chill out for a second. I was like, I thought I'm dating a porn star. He's like, chill. Is he also, he needs physical touch like that as much as you do in terms of like sex? Yeah, okay. I think not necessarily sex. I think it's the same thing where as long as I am touching him, usually cuddling. He just needs like physical touch to let him know that like I'm still here. I think he and I have this weird issue of like people like weird abandonment issues from different things. Okay. So him, like he was never really close to his family growing up. And so he never really got that love as a child, in my opinion, from what he's told me. And so when he had like cancer as a kid and went away to prison, like he never really saw his family. Oh shit. And it was just one of those things like, I think going through such traumatic things so early on in your life, over and over, not having a foundation there, he just became super independent. And the moment he and I got together and he kind of knew like, oh, it's safe to let my guard down. Now he's just like, hi, hello, how are you? Come hug me. I love you. Did you miss me? That's crazy. Like, well, I mean, you found somebody that kind of gives you what you need, which is really great. Yeah. Damn, you're fucking exhausting though. That's exhausting. I'm exhausting. That's exhausting for those people. Exhausting. Yeah. People who see me on the podcast or they know me in my everyday life, they're like, oh, you're super independent and you don't like need much. Yeah, because I'm not fucking you. Yeah. And then behind the scenes, you see me with my boyfriend. I'm the neediest bitch you'll ever meet. The neediest fucking bitch. Because like Mariel and I are very independent. Like I'll like, for example, before you came on the podcast, I left at 12. I was kicking it with a bunch of my friends, kickboxing. Yeah. and I come back, I don't have to text her where I'm at. Like she just knows that I'm going to come back eventually, you know? But I feel like you're the opposite.
No, he and I text throughout the day. He and I live together. If I am gone from the house or he's gone from the house.
Oh my God.
Like we'll leave, he'll be at the gym. I'm like, hi, how's your workout? I miss you. I love you. I tell him I love you probably 20 times a day. I'm telling God. I need all the love.
Fuck out of here.
I need all the love. I'm a little fucking mushball pussy bitch. Like,
are you serious?
Yes, I.
Were you like that with your ex-boyfriend too? Before
before. Yes, but not to this degree. I don't know what it is. The older I get, the more like lovey-dovey I am. I'm just like, I need shit.
I would be fucking tired. I would just start doing.
I go up to him and I like every time I smell him, I feel like there are endorphins that are released in my brain. So I'll go up and just sniff behind it. You're like,
cat, dude, this is
like
exhausting.
This is how fucking I am needy, clingy, fucking emotional. I need all of it.
Fuck out of here.
I need all of it. I think it's because I'm super independent in every other facet of my life.
So you're okay. I mean, you know how to separate this, but with the person that you're with, this is
like when I'm in like my safe zone, I'm a child. I'm basically a child.
That's what was your mom like that with your dad, or your dad like that?
No,
with your mom?
I always thought that they hated each other growing up, and then I got to a point when I was older, like, oh, they play fight, and that's their way of flirting. And so I didn't really know it for a while. I was like, they don't even really love each other. It's fine, whatever. Asian parents.
My parents play fight a lot too. That's how they.
They play fight a lot, and when I was younger, they didn't really have that like romance or that flirty type of relationship that they do now. Now that all of their kids are kind of older, they don't have money to worry about the same way they did when my sister and I were younger. Now they're kind of much more flirty and touchy. And my mom's like, stop, don't touch me. You know, my dad's like, well, come here.
Fuck me later. Like, hey, mom, what the fuck? Like, the kids are right here. God,
I am so inappropriate with my mom now. I don't know what it is. There was a switch that happened where I started joking around with her about the stupidest things. And now I'll ask her randomly, like, Mom, be honest. You like getting your ass eaten? And she's like, Jane, stop it. And then she'll look over like, no, I think that's gross. Like, Mom, you should have dad eat your ass at least once. Like, live a little. She's like, I don't think he likes it. I don't think I like it. It's dirty down there. Like,
I don't like butt stuff. Butt stuff is not my shit. Dude.
Butt stuff is fine. I recently got into it and I feel like butt stuff is only good if you're doing it properly.
You know what it is, man? It's like I just never like, even when I was younger and they would do anal shit, I'm like, I don't like this. Like I never liked watching porn with ass shit, just because
shit comes out of it.
Because shit comes out of it. And let me tell you something. Like I've fucked somebody in the ass once, and it was the worst experience of my life. I just didn't. Number one, it didn't feel as good as I thought it would.
Really?
Because it's tight at the sphincter area.
That's what it was explained to me as well. Because the first time I did anal was with my ex, and he and I were both trying to experiment, and it felt like someone was shoving a mag flashlight in my ass. And I screamed to him like, "Take it out!" So he took it out. He's like, it's not really that good. So I asked him what it felt like. He's like, well, imagine your finger, and like you put like your finger through this like crevice. It's like this. Like there's nothing else there. I was like, oh, well, what does a pussy feel like? He's like, it's like that, but like this.
It's holding on to it.
It's holding on to it.
Yeah, it's like a warm handshake.
It's like the ass is a glory hole, essentially, right?
So what the ass feels like is tight when it enters, and then after that, it's just this nebulous space, and it's just what is this?
Unless you're constipated.
Then we have a little friend. Dude, Joe told this funny ass story about how when he hooked up with this girl,
she shit on the bed?
She always loved getting fucked in the ass.
Yeah.
This one said that when he pulled his dick out, there was a piece of shit hanging on the tip of his dick.
Oh my God. I know it comes with territory, but I would be fucking mortified.
I'm
mortified. If I knew my shit was on the guy's dick, I would never see him ever again.
Well, we found out on the podcast through this guy. He's pretty known as like a gay YouTuber who talks about, you know, homosexuality and like specifically in the sexual sense.
Yeah.
And he was giving us a lowdown. He goes, man, like straight people don't know how to fuck in the ass. Or like, what do you mean? He goes, there's a whole process that gay dudes go through before we get fucked. It's like we douche, we clean, we make sure that it's super. It's like you stick your fucking long ass dick into a fucking ass, there's going to be shit at the end of it. But a lot of people don't know that. You know what I mean? And I didn't know that shit either. I was like, this is gross. I don't like this. I don't like this at all. And you know, once you try it, but that girl liked anal. I just didn't enjoy it. Like it didn't feel good. I'm like, the point of this is for this to feel good. I think it's more of the sexual act of doing something that's different than a vagina that makes it hot.
You know what got me into anal?
What?
During that like 2-week period of not being able to like do anything to my uterus.
This is all I have.
Wait. So what ended up happening? I was like, okay, let's try anal. I remember I hated it before, but maybe like if we keep trying it, it'll be fine. And when it started to hurt, I told myself something that I heard Asa Akira say, which is you got to do something 21 times for it to be a habit. So I got to get fucked in the ass at least 21 times before.
Asa Akira is not the person. You got to try it 21 times for you to fucking enjoy it. That sounds like a fucking a beaten person's mentality.
Yes. But I did that. And by the 22nd day, it feels fine.
Yeah. But I mean, his shit is huge though. That shit is violating the fuck out of you.
The body is an amazing thing.
It adapts. It fucking adapts.
Yes.
I don't know. That act is, you know, I didn't even like this shit too though.
What?
Like, I remember I got head, driving because a girl that I was hooking up with,
that scares me.
And I couldn't do it.
What if we die and this is how people find us?
Well, I couldn't focus. Because I couldn't focus and the imminent fear of death, I kept on getting hard, soft. I'm like,
you couldn't like keep it up
because I'm driving. You know, and I'm like, oh shit, hard, soft. And I was like, I don't enjoy this. This actually stresses me out because I get anxiety. And I'm like, the anxiety is not helping my dick any hard. I can't do this. And she was like, you're no fun. I'm like, I feel like I'm gonna die. So how do you expect me to be hard while I do this? We could pull over. That's fine. But she liked the whole danger shit. But that was the girl who really liked fucking. Let me tell you what's a lot of pressure too.
That's a lot of pressure.
This bitch, I was the only Asian guy that she's ever been with. Okay. Everybody else, all black dudes.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure.
So it was just a shit ton of pressure.
Yeah.
And I just remember, because I knew of her because she was one of my childhood friends' sister's friend. And so I met her at a Halloween party that they had at their house, and she was dressed up as a naughty nun. And I said, oh shit, right? And I just got out of a serious relationship.
You needed her to exercise that dick?
And I was like, this is new. And so I just started hitting on, and she was like 5 years older than me. Okay. And at this time, I had nothing going on for me. I just started like chopping it up with her. And next thing you know, we ended up hooking up, and then we were together for a little bit. Terrible relationship, by the way. It lasted a month because I found out that she was kind of nuts. Obviously she also wanted to have too much sex, and I just didn't like that shit. So for her, which people are like, you're fucking gay, bro. It's like, let me tell you something. Having sex twice a fucking day when you're working 3 jobs is exhausting.
Oh, when you're working, it's the most exhausting thing you could do. That's the last thing I want to do when I come home.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
That's the last
she didn't
fucking
understand
thing. Don't
that.
touch me.
Yeah. I'm like, listen, I'm a full-time student. I was trying to do stand-up. On the side too, I had to help my parents' business out. I was also working at the fucking Men's Warehouse. I was doing 1,000 fucking things. Like, she just worked her job, and then she would just wait for me all day. And I'm like, listen, I'm tired. Like, I just got off doing a set. It's fucking 12 o'clock. I just went out drinking with these dudes. I got whiskey dick. I can't fuck you right now. I'm sorry. And that's when I figured out. Like, and then she obviously heard, before we even had sex, I knew her fucking, her list of black dicks that she went through. And I'm like, oh shit. You know, I'm like trying to get like a slight chub before we start. I was like, bitch, I'm a grower. Trust me. Just give me some time. But she was the woman that actually was very honest with me about sexual acts, because prior to her, I've only hooked up with 2 other women. Yeah. First girl that I was with, I was a virgin. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I don't know how that shit works. It's just some shit that your homies tell you. They don't really give you an honest look about what it is to get a girl off. Girls should be giving that advice to me instead of hearing it from these dudes. So I was giving her terrible dick. You know, the worst dick probably she's ever had in her life. But she was also not very experienced either. So we both didn't know.
So you just didn't know any better.
Yeah, she wasn't very vocal with me. She didn't tell me what she liked, what she disliked, what she enjoyed.
Was she quiet in bed too?
Yeah, super quiet. It wasn't really good sex. It wasn't very good sex on my part.
But it's also like, if you guys are like each other's first, you don't really have anything to go off of.
I don't even think I was her first. I think she was my first.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
But she like, it wasn't fun, you know? And when you're young too, if it's in a pussy, it feels good. You know, you're like, I got off, and I didn't know that she probably had needs. She didn't know how to communicate it to me. Yeah. And it just didn't work out. So the second person that I was with, I'm pretty sure she got terrible dick too. And so this one, like, I remember after we fucked, I was like, So how was that? And she was like, meh. Let me tell you something. My fucking heart shattered. I was like, what you mean? But she started talking to me about what she liked and disliked. And then because of her, I started being more communicative when it came to sex. It's like, yo, what do you like? What do you dislike? Not off the bat like it's a study thing, but after we hook up a bit, you kind of get a feel for things and then it starts to get better. But if it wasn't for her destroying my heart, like I don't think I would have done that with my next partners, which was something I didn't really think about. Because a lot of guys come in hearing advice from other dudes about what they think women like, but every woman's different. Just like every dude's different. I didn't know that you can get bad pussy until I got bad pussy. Oh, okay. I was like, oh, this pussy wasn't great. Like she didn't know what she was doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I feel like I think I have a list and then the list goes out the window. I didn't realize that until I'd say like 6 months ago. Because when that uterus thing happened, he and I were just like making out, having fun. And randomly, I didn't intend that night on ending with anal, but randomly, like I got so when I get turned on, I start saying wild shit, and I don't mean it.
I'm gonna gouge your fucking eyes out. Like what?
That was one time, but we were getting hot and heavy, and it got to a point where randomly, like something came out of me. I said, "Put it in my ass." And right when the word left my mouth, I was like,
you're fucking nuts, dude.
I was like, I didn't need it. I don't want it. Because in my head now, the rest of the time I was thinking of a mag flashlight in my, like the first time.
Because the first time,
no. And so I literally just like, I was like, it's too late now. Yeah. I have to do it. I have to do it. And that's how I started dating.
You're probably a lot more sexually open than most people though, right? Like you're, depending on the person that you're with.
I think so. I think nothing is really off limits to me as long as like the person I'm talking to with isn't weird. Like some people are weird about it, so I'm less likely to open up or say some shit. But then if like someone like is just sitting like you and I are and it's comfortable and I'm just talking like I'm telling you a story, then it's fine. Yeah. But some people are kind of weird about it, or like some people glorify it into or fetishize it into something more than what it is. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like that's when I am less likely to say something, when I know it's gonna get twisted in a certain way. When for me, like it's just sex. It's whatever.
When they started doing the Big Mood podcast, because I've known those girls for a very long time. Yeah. I'm very odd in the sense of like, if I know a girl for a long time, sometimes hearing their sexual escapades makes me feel weird. Because it's like, I just don't, I've never thought about it in that type of way. You know, and the fucking Gina is over here like, I like to be choked out till I black out.
I love Gina.
Excuse me? The fuck are you talking about? She goes, I want to see like blood vessels pop in my eyes. I'm like, bitch, that's assault. Like, what are you talking about? She goes, she said one time some dude chased her down and threw an iron at the back of her head. She's fucking nuts, dude. I'm like, you're exhausting to have sex with. Bitches have to do fucking, they have to stretch and shit before they fuck her, dude. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, you fucking Vietnamese bitches are insane, dude.
Yeah. We all got hit.
We all got hit. And so that's how you equate love. Yeah. You have to knock out my 2 front teeth and then I might fucking love you.
Because my parents' trauma of the war. This is my version of love.
Like I specifically dated Vietnamese girls because I grew up in Sacramento. Yeah. You know, all these girls are Vietnamese. And that's like the only girls that I was with for like almost since my very first girls when I was 18 all the way till I was like fucking like 22. It was only Vietnamese girls. Yeah. And that's all I even tried to learn Vietnamese and do all this other stuff. Oh, damn. Yeah, I was
that's a hard language to learn.
Let me tell you, know, it's not a hard language to learn. It's a hard language to pronounce. Because it's very simplified, right? Yeah. Like in English, you have you, that, you're, this. It's just like one general word, but it has like an honorific system about who you say that to in terms of who you respect, age, and everything else.
I think also like the inflection of certain words throws people off. Like some people can't hear the inflection on certain things.
Well, like the NG sound in Vietnamese is fucking hard as shit, dude. Like I've never been able to get that shit down. But like learning Vietnamese was easier to understand than it was to speak it.
Yeah.
That was the more difficult part. But the first girl I was with Vietnamese, and I fucking loved her to death. So I wanted to learn how to speak Vietnamese, do all this other shit. But, you know, it just didn't work out. I was a loser, by the way. Like
define loser.
Like I identify, she was my biggest life lesson. So I identified my value based on how she made me feel. So because I felt like such a loser, I didn't feel like I was worthy of her. That when she left me, I was left with nothing. I was like, oh, I'm not worth anything because she left me. Yeah, that's what it felt like. But I was working though. I was,
at least you're working.
But with her, we didn't match. Nothing made sense. It was just, she was my best friend. Oh. So she was I lost my best friend and my girlfriend at the same time.
That's the hardest part, losing your best friend. Because like you can get another boyfriend, girlfriend. But then like the person that you have all these inside jokes with that you could just kick it with, that's the hardest part.
Yeah. And that's the weird thing too. And when I had this very specific moment where I realized I was such a fucking loser was when we split up and I was still doing everything I could to gain her attention, just to have her be around. Mm-hmm. And then there was this moment where she looked at me, she called me annoying. And I was like, I'm not fucking annoying. And it offended me. And when you find out is things that offend you to your core is probably stuff that is issues that you're dealing with yourself.
Yeah.
And when I realized I was a loser, I flipped my whole life. I was like, what the fuck? Who is this girl to me? Mm-hmm. Like we broke up. She's not even that special to me. Like she was my best friend, but we don't make sense. Nothing makes sense about us. Like she's on a different path. I'm on a different path. And from then on, I decided to take control of my life. I went full on stand-up. I did full on comedy. I dropped out of college. I did everything. And she was probably the best thing that ever happened to me because it was such a shocking thing to have somebody tell you what you were face value. And she never did that before. Like she never did that shit. But when she said I was annoying and obnoxious, I was like, you're right. I am fucking annoying. I'm over here begging for your fucking attention. Why?
Good on you for seeing that though. I feel like a lot of people, even though they can come to terms in their head and know like, yeah, I'm being annoying, I'm being obnoxious. Like they then flip it. They're like, no, you're fucking annoying, you're obnoxious. Like there's nothing wrong with me. And they almost double down on that.
Dude, 100%. And I remember there was a flip where she realized how different I was when her current boyfriend at the time, they split. And she came to my place and she was like, hey, me and this guy split. And I looked at her, I was like, cool, why are you telling me this? All right. And she was like, oh, I just wanted to let you know. I'm like, I don't fucking care. What do you mean? Right? Because I was trying to still be friends with her, but I didn't give a fuck. And I remember she was like, yeah, I'm just going to try to be single for a bit. I was like, is that why you came over to my place to tell me this? I was like, you can't be single. It's impossible for you. I was like, you're somebody that likes to fix people. So you look for broken human beings like me. And she was pissed. Lo and behold, 1 month later, she was in a relationship with somebody that she was a coworker with. I was like, you already had that person in the bag before you split up with this other guy. Yeah. Because I know you. We were best friends. I know who the fuck you are. But she didn't, I think and for her, she realized, oh, like I can't come to this guy for whatever I need now. Because she always wanted to have her cake and eat it too. She's not a bad person. It's just, that's who she is. Like
you were an emotional 7-Eleven.
Yeah, 100%. Whenever she needed me there, I was there. And I felt good that I could be that person for her because I didn't value myself. I didn't value who I was, what I cared about. Yeah. And I was specifically a loser because I chose to be. Because I felt like I didn't deserve success. I didn't deserve greatness because it was based on how she made me feel.
So you're happy with the scraps? I
was 100% happy with it. I was like, hey, I'm going to be with this woman for the rest of my life. Yeah. I'm okay. When she left me, rock bottom, I started moving up. I was like, I'm going to do stand up and I don't give a fuck whether it does bad or not. And that was hard for me. I have anxiety. Like I had a major anxiety and I still did stand up because she taught me that there were things about myself that I hated that I wanted to change so bad. No matter how it made me feel, I wanted to change it because I just hated being a loser. I hate it. I fucking hated it. Once you realize you're a loser, everything about you want to change. I have anxiety. I'm going to do stand-up because I'm going to face that fucking fear. I don't like talking to people. I'm going to start talking to people because I need to face that fucking fear. Yeah. And it was hard for me for a lot of the times, but people don't understand. They go, oh, you speak to people so well now. Well, that took practice. Yeah. It took a lot of practice. My dad used to beat my ass because I couldn't fucking order fast food from a restaurant because I was so nervous to talk to new people.
Oh, really? How old were you?
How old? I was like 20. Like I couldn't even do that.
20? I
had mad anxiety. Yeah. And I started doing, and I was dealing with this anxiety while I was trying to do stand up when I was 16. But I couldn't even order food at a fucking fast food restaurant. Because I was so nervous about everything. And people who have anxiety, one of the things that we do a lot is we try to overlearn about a subject so we don't feel embarrassed. Yeah. We research all this other stuff. So when it comes to a topic, we want to know everything. So in case like we sound stupid, we don't want to do that. So when I would go to new restaurants, I would never order things I didn't know because I wanted to be safe knowing these type of things. And I had to deal with this anxiety every time I did stand up.
I was the same way, but then I would fuck up. And the moment I had to talk about it, I blinked. I was like, fuck. Oh, really? God damn it. I studied 3 hours.
It's the worst feeling ever.
It's so stupid. Oh my God. And I feel like a dumbass afterwards. I study some more. and I'm replaying this conversation in my head like I could redo it.
I would do stand-up sometimes and I would blank out and I would go home and I think I would just lay in my bed like, you fucking idiot. I would just be so fucking mad. My first audition ever, I auditioned in Los Angeles for this role, for like a very serious role. But me being a dumbass, for some reason I read it as a comedic role. I didn't know. It was like
your brain just like read it that way
as a comedy, and it was like for NCIS for like a murder. And I read it, and then the casting director looked at me. She goes, "That was a very interesting take." And I was like, "But can you try it like this?" And I read, and for some reason, it was like I was reading the script for the first time. I'm like, "This is not for a comedy," and I didn't know how to read it. And I went into my car, I fucking laid down the seat, and I fucking went, "Ah! You fucking idiot!" I was mortified, dude.
I fucking hate auditions. I hate auditions.
Well, now I'm scabbed over. I don't care. I'll go into an audition. I don't give a fuck.
Auditions have single-handedly been the reason why I got out of acting. I was like, I hate it.
Really?
I hate auditions. And it was around the time I started getting into podcasts where I was like, this is so much better than sitting around on a set or like in a theater, rehearsing, waiting around. This is so much fucking fun. And I never looked back, but I hate auditions. Hate it, hate it, hate it.
It's a skill.
It's a skill. It's definitely a skill. I'm one of those people where if I'm cast in something the day of and when I actually perform, it's different from my audition. I psych myself up so much during auditions where I'm like, fuck this, and then I blink.
Yep.
And I'm like, fuck. Everything goes out the door.
That's why people when they see some actors who go on and they get these roles, they go, they're not great actors. Yeah, but they're a better auditioner than you. They impressed in that room, so they got the role. Yeah. So some of the best actors that I know, sometimes they don't book well because the audition part is the part that doesn't get them through the door. But I know that they'll kill it if you give them the fucking opportunity. Yeah. And that's the hard part. Like everything's a fucking craft, man. I'm the worst auditioner on earth, dude. I fucking hate it. Like when you audition, you have to have a multitude of different outfits to match that role. You have to come in, and I just don't give a fuck enough. So I love podcasting. I could wear these slippers. I got these sweats on. I don't fucking care. But when you're on audition, you're there to impress because it's their money and it's their time. Oh, I fucking hate it.
I also felt weird about going into auditions because at USC they always made it seem like you had to fit a very cookie cutter version of what an actor is supposed to be. Because it's a liberal arts, fucking artsy, fartsy school. So everyone was very like woke and very PC and very afraid of saying anything that was too edgy. Yeah. And so it felt like I'm not somebody who like can just kind of pretend to be like a certain way, like, hi, my name is Kat, and this is like, I just wasn't that cookie cutter version of like what USC said, this is how you book shit. And I would try to be that version of it at auditions, and it just felt fucking gross. I would go in and I'm like, it was like a version of myself, and then I disassociate, like, who the fuck is that bitch? Who is that bitch in this audition room? Who the hell is that? And who said that this was okay?
I mean, that's good that you found that out early on, because a lot of people try to push themselves into a mold just because they said that they were going to do it. Yeah. But you find out new things about yourself all the time. I thought I wanted to do stand-up for the rest of my life, and turns out I don't even like stand-up that much. Yeah. Like I still do it because I have an urge or an itch to do it here and there, but it doesn't make me happy. And I had to accept that it was like a few years ago. Like I did the what's the place in Irvine? Fucking
Irvine Spectrum?
No. It was the
Improv.
The Improv. I went there, did great, and didn't feel anything. I was like, oh, that didn't make me feel good. Like it was just like, oh, cool, I made people laugh. And then I walked off stage, and I was like, and that was the first time my buddy Khalif saw me do stand up, and he was like, dude, you're fucking funny. Like I didn't know you did. I was like, dude, I did stand up since I was 16. And I went up there, and then I left, and I didn't feel good. I'm like, oh.
Did you used to get like a validation from it before?
I used to get a high off of it. Like when you kill a set, it made you feel really good. And then the set felt good, and I just felt okay about it. And I'm like, oh, this isn't my joy anymore. Like this used to really make me happy. And I found out that I can get that same feeling from doing a podcast. It doesn't have to be on stage. It could be through film. It could be through anything else. So the thing that I enjoy is affecting people's life in a positive way. Whether people agree or disagree with that, that's just what I feed off of. It doesn't have to be stand-up. It could be food. Yeah. It could be food where I create these businesses. People walk away, and they walk away with a smile. I found that out when I did Soft Serve for the first time. When I would sit at that store, people would eat.
Oh, the one in K-Town?
Yeah.
That one's so fucking good.
I know. It fucking, oh God. Well, now I have a new one coming up. So they, people would eat the soft serve and I saw them smile and that shit filled up my heart. It made me feel really good.
You're an Asian dad. That's what it is. You're an Asian dad.
I'm like, they enjoyed my soft
Acts of
serve.
service.
Yeah. I'm like, look at that. They enjoyed the soft serve and it made me happier than doing stand-up. And I'm like, stand-up might be something that I'll always do, but I'll do it for fun. It's not going to be a career. Yeah. You know, who knows? I say this now, it might change because stand-up, I could do it when I'm 40, 50 years old. It doesn't matter.
Dude, there's not like a timestamp on it.
Exactly. So I can always come back to it, you know?
Same with acting for me. I just like, I like it, but I don't think I like it or love it enough to pursue it actively. I see some of my friends who I had in USC, like basically went through this program with, and they are still trying to go down that route because they love it so much. And I just look at them like, I don't have that. Yeah. I don't love it. Like I can't fake it. I felt like I was just wasting time and trying to convince myself like, oh, you still like this. You just need to try harder or fall in love with it again. But it's not that. It just wasn't for me. Yeah. It's not how, I mean, acting, it was just a way for me to get out of San Jose. And I came to terms with that.
And you know what? Acting too is so hard because there's such a slim chance that you'll be successful.
Yeah.
You know, you have to really love this grind. And people who get on TV shows here and there doesn't mean that they've made it. Like there's only a few spots, like they get paid for that day or two. They get their day rate, reoccurring cast member.
Or they get a stipend.
Yeah. And they may not get another job for the next year or two. I had a friend of mine who came on this podcast. She was talking to me about how her friends from back at home were like, I saw you on this TV show, you made it. And she's like, bitch, I'm living in this studio fucking apartment with 3 people. What makes you think I made it? Like, I got this check. Cool. It was like, whatever, 40, 50 G's. Now that has to last me for this whole year because I haven't booked anything in the last 8 months.
Yeah, that's the crazy part about acting that I think a lot of people don't realize is that just because you see somebody who's booked maybe like a reoccurring part on this TV show and they got like one really big check, that doesn't mean that you're going to have longevity in this career. Yeah. It does not give you any sort of financial stability at all. And even trying to get into the union is a fucking bitch in itself. And you don't have anything to kind of cover yourself with in terms of like health insurance. And it's wild. I didn't love it enough to put up with all that other stuff. Like I can work a regular fucking job, get all these regular benefits, get a 401k, and I will be perfectly happy, just as happy as if I was on a show and getting the same thing. It's just I don't want to do feet, the extra. Yeah, and now I show my feet for a living, and it's dope. That's how I told my dad. I was so nervous about it, and I talked to my mom. She's like, I don't see why not. Like, I was a coffee shop girl, even though like your dad and I are really conservative. At the end of the day, like, you got to make your money how you make your money. As long as you're okay with yourself, you can look yourself in the mirror. Like that's all that matters. Like I don't think I would like you to go out and like do nudity or anything, but like that's up to you. And I told her like, I don't think I'm good with nudity either, but I'm going to do it to the extent that I'm comfortable with. But I don't have the like little push to finally do it. My mom told me, go talk to your dad, see what he says.
That's
I was
crazy.
like, oh shit, okay. So I went up to my dad. I was like, hey, Dad, I have this business opportunity that I have.
How fucking funny the way you phrased it, dude.
Yeah, I was like, this business opportunity.
Get the fuck out of here, dude. That's hilarious.
I was like, so there's this thing called OnlyFans. And he's like, okay, what is it? I'm like, you know Instagram? He's like, yeah. I was like, it's like Instagram, but you have to pay to see everything. I'm like, okay. So people want to see pictures of my feet. And he's like, oh yeah, why wouldn't you do it? I was like, well, people also want to see other stuff and I'm like willing to do other stuff. He's like, okay, but what's the other stuff? I was like, well, me in a bikini. He's like, well, you're at the beach, other people see you in bikini. I was like, me in my bra and underwear. He's like, our family is damn near a nudist family. Like I've been walking around in a Speedo like, around the house since you were fucking 7.
Your mother was a hooker when I met her, so it's
and
okay.
Joe ate her pussy.
You came out the pussy. It's okay, man.
Yeah.
He's all happy about it.
Yeah, he's like, yeah,
but
why
how
not?
much money are you making? It's like, I could retire you pretty soon. Okay. Be my guest.
Well, I didn't even think I was going to make that much money off of it. I thought it was just going to be like an extra, maybe like a extra grand or so. Yeah. And so when I did that, I made a lot more.
That's crazy.
And I told my dad, and when my dad found out, he's like, oh my God, that's crazy. And now I'm buying him a Corvette.
I want to be a girl so bad. Minus the periods.
Minus the periods.
Can I not trade? That's the trade-off. You guys get fucking periods, but you could get people to want to see you fucking naked so bad.
Yeah.
That's crazy. crazy.
But the wild thing is that like now people who used to fuck with me are so angry at me for that.
Why?
Because on one hand, it's people like, oh, I'm disappointed in you. I thought you were like this innocent girl like who wasn't going to show off her body. Now you're almost like damaged goods. And then there's another section that's mad at me because it's like, how dare you monetize off of us sexualizing you for the last 3 years? It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. Hey,
Back
man.
when I was conservative as fuck and wearing like tank tops and a sweater, if I had like this much cleavage out, the comments would just be like, did you zoom in? I zoomed in. Like, bitch,
dude,
get the fuck out of here.
It came up on a podcast, but girls were talking about, was it a podcast or JK News? But the girls have like a whole Reddit section about them.
I have read a section about me.
See, that's what I'm saying. It's crazy. Yeah. So it's like, what the fuck are you talking about? You guys sexualize them anyways. And I'm talking about this Reddit shit is fucking hilarious. Like there's people like superimposing their face.
Tiff told me about she has deep fakes. I was like, Jesus,
I'm pretty
crazy.
sure all those girls have fucking deep fakes, dude. Like they're like superimposing their face on shit. It's like, who the fuck told me this? I think one of the girls told me, but it's like dudes like jacking off to their photos and having a photo of just their face or some shit of them jacking off. Like, what the fuck is this weird Reddit world about?
Some guy sent me a DM. It was a video of him. He put his fleshlight in between his couch, so it's like stuck right there, and he starts fucking it, and he does a video
with
like, this is what you make me want to do, and then he's like fucking his fleshlight that he's smushed in between his couch cushions.
That's crazy.
I have it on my phone right now.
Get the fuck.
Because when people ask me like, what's one of the wildest things that people send you, I'm like, this is a good way to start off. This is what I get. This is why I don't read my DMs anymore.
Crazy, man. Like that whole Reddit world too. Like I don't really go on Reddit.
Yeah.
It's just it's hard for me to navigate. I don't know why, but it's not a very clean UI and it bothers me. It's like my OCD.
Yeah, it's like it's almost like the old blogs. It's like a forum.
It bothers me. I can't be on that website. It's just like a particularity that I have.
Yeah.
When they were talking about the whole Reddit section, it's just it's crazy to me.
It's crazy.
Like Tiff was telling me on this podcast years ago they have fanfics or fan fiction.
Yes, that's what 50 Shades of Grey turned out to be. It was a fanfic of Twilight.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Really?
Twilight was an inspiration for 50 Shades of Grey. It was a fanfic. And it got so popular that it became a book and now a movie.
What the fuck?
Wild, right?
Dude, and then when I was talking about fanfics, either it was on the podcast or JK News, there was people who were upset. They're like, fanfics aren't only sexual, blah, blah, blah. I was like, get out of here, dude. Get the fuck out of here, dude. It's sexual. You ain't got a front, bro. Yeah. You ain't got a front. That's just mad sexual, dude. You're talking about these weird scenarios. I won't say weird. It's just these scenarios that you desire out of these people, which I guess is fine. But there's a community for it. And it's actually pretty popping on Reddit. Yeah. I can't imagine that shit, though.
That shit's fucking crazy. Reddit triggers me.
Really?
Yeah, Reddit fucking, because Fighter and the Kid has the most toxic fucking Reddit page that I've ever seen. And it's one of those things where I started working for them. I didn't know what it was. Somebody sent it to me. I saw it. I was like, Jesus Christ, this is like actually fucking scary. Now anytime, because I was handling the social media stuff, anytime something with Reddit popped up, I'm always like, fuck. Like, I don't want to look at it. It's almost like watching a beheading video in my head.
Dude, the Fighter and the Kid thing is real, man.
It's fucking crazy.
Like Brendan's, like they fucking psychoanalyze everything that he does.
Everything, and it's never that deep.
Yeah, it's like, he's just talking, dude. Like, and also too, like we tell so many stories on this shit. We change small things here and there, but sometimes we explain it more they're like, well, they said this last time. It's like, yeah, we explained it a little further. It's like pretty much the same story, but
or he shortened the story for
exactly, dude. Like it's not that fucking deep. But Brendan too, like he's
polarizing, I will say.
It's a good problem to have though. Like
it's a good problem to have because you make money off of it.
Yeah, and people are talking about him for a fucking reason. But like the Fighter and the Kid thing, like it's crazy. They that's their community. They want to talk about something that they have a common, whether it's good or bad. They enjoy. And then there's good stuff too when they have a dope guest and they like the chemistry. It's a pretty interesting community.
Yeah, for me, I'm just like, I just don't want to see it. It could be there and live on the internet. I just don't want to see it. So anytime people try to send it to me, I'm like, please don't.
We all got fucking Reddit people just trashing us all the time. I'm okay with it. I mean, that's just that's the stuff that I knew that I was getting into. It's like once I'm out in the public eye, everything that I say is going to be scrutinized. So it doesn't matter. It's like, well, I remember somebody coming at me saying like, you once said this, you were so, I was like, yeah, I changed my mind.
That's another thing. People think you can't change your mind.
Yeah.
Like you can't just form another opinion with different information that has been presented to you.
Yeah.
Or like you aged out of something where you're like, oh, I don't think like that anymore.
Yeah. I completely changed my mind. What's the problem?
Yeah. Because then the fight ends and they have nothing else to, like, no leg to stand on. They're like, oh, well, this is an issue. You don't want to fight?
Yeah, it's like, what are you, fucking perfect, dude? I don't know what the fuck. I was saying some shit and I thought I was right. And it turns out I had a conversation with somebody else. And I'm like, I don't think like that way anymore.
Yeah.
And it's a problem. It's everybody wants to be perfect the first time and it never works out that way.
Yeah.
There's no forgiveness anymore. Like
there really isn't. There's no empathy from anybody.
Oh, dude, but that's the funny thing too, because they think that they're the empathy generation, but you're not. You're looking to bring people down to bring yourself up, and it never works out well for that way because it doesn't make you feel good at the end of the day. You have to keep doing that over and over and over, and it's exhausting, man. Just like I don't know, man. Like everybody can change. Like as long as they show it. And even if you don't show it, I don't care about you enough, dude.
Yeah.
I don't fucking care. You can't police what everybody does.
Because change shouldn't be like a performance.
Yeah.
It's not something that I need to show everyone like, hey guys, I've changed. I'm good now, right? Like it's not for you.
Like I'm even telling people to stop. Like there's personal friends that I know that have the exact opposite feeling how I have about certain things that are very polarizing, like BLM. I know somebody that's a relative that fucking hates BLM. And my thing to them, I just had a conversation with them. I was like, honestly, you're allowed to have your opinion. I get it. I'm not mad at you. I'm like, but I just say my piece. I go, you have an opinion about a group of people that you don't know. Yeah. You're a dude that only grew up around Asian people. You have some white friends here and there. You've never had a conversation with a black person, never been a part of their community, but you want to tell them how to live their life. So at that point, we just leave it at that and we're still good friends. Yeah. You could have your opinion about that.
Some people can't do that though. Some people want to fight.
And I just tell them like, hey, just don't bring that shit around me because it's going to get under my skin. Yeah. But other than that, we cool, bro. Like I said my piece. If it doesn't change your mind, that is what it is. Just don't be disrespectful. And then we got to leave it at that. And he doesn't. And he's mad respectful about it. And that's all. Yeah.
See, that's the best way to do it. But then a lot of people don't. It's almost like, I feel like a lot of people do this shit as a performance to show other people like, hey, I'm on the good side, or hey, I'm a rebel. Yeah. It's one or the other. It's like, why does everything have to be a fucking fight?
I just don't care anymore now.
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
It's for our sanity. Because imagine if we had to care about every little thing. It's hard, man. I just started reading about the stuff that's happening in the fucking Middle East right now. And there's so much to read about. It's like draining.
Every time I see one of those like little kids crying on those videos, I fucking cry. I will bawl my eyes out.
People are asking me to talk. I was like, I don't know what to talk about. Like there's so much and it's so history deep. You can't have me speak about that on this podcast because I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah. That's something that I'm going to stay off of. Like like everybody has a side on this one and I just don't want them to feel pain, but how dumb is that for me to say? you know? So I just kind of stay away from it. Yeah. Well, that wraps. Damn, we've been doing this for 2 fucking hours.
What?
Holy shit, that went by so fast. That was amazing.
Oh, that's fun.
Okay, well,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for coming on. That was a dope fucking podcast. Where can they find you? Shout out your OnlyFans, baby.
OnlyFans /T 3 I's 3 E's and an N. It's the same as my Instagram handle.
That's dope. Well, that's Genius Brain Podcast every Thursdays and Sundays, and we'll see you all next time.
Bye.
Peace.